I'm officially engaged at 21 years old and my fiance is 19. So I want to tell you how he proposed while I do my makeup. It's already finished, but let's get into it. And P.S. this is a fake ring. Mine's getting resized, but I could not wear one. So this is from the Tik Tok shop. So before I get into the proposal, I wanted to tell you a little bit of background about me and my now fiance. We have been together for 4 years, and yes, we've had our breaks. So not a full 4 years, but we started dating 4 years ago. Yes, he is young, and yes, he only graduated high school a year ago, but we are definitely exactly where we're supposed to be. Around a year ago, we decided that we were going to start looking at land to put 2 trailers on and then like sell them and make like a good bit of money really quick so we could buy a house. Well, then we looked into that and that just like kind of wasn't it. And after we decided we weren't going to do that anymore, we started kind of looking at houses. Then the conversation kind of came up like, well, you kind of have to get married to buy a house, right? My boyfriend has always told me that he's not going to propose to me until he has a place to put me. On the outside, that's like, well, yeah, that's very respectful, very responsible. But being the person who is not getting proposed to because he hasn't found a place to put me yet, let's just say this has been the longest year probably of my entire life. Now, I wouldn't change a thing about it because I think we are exactly where we're supposed to be. Basically, after we decided we're going to start looking for houses, we have been land, house, back and forth for the past year. If you're trying to buy a house right now, things are so overpriced, it's not even funny. We've just been really picky, and like if there's a good deal, we'll go look at it. But realistically, we just knew we were never going to buy one. And you know, my dad has asked me the question a million times, like, what are y'all doing? And I'm like, I don't know. It was getting to the point where it's like, we're going to buy land or a house and you still haven't proposed to me, and like we're going to have to get married, and what are we doing? So a few weeks ago, we found a piece of land that we really, really liked. It was good acreage, a good location. It was very expensive because things are just so expensive right now, but we really fell in love with it, and this was definitely not the first piece of property we ever went and looked at. Then we put an offer in. We're still not engaged yet, okay? This was a few weeks ago. And I am like panicking because the more I talk about it to him, the more he was like, it's my thing, don't rush me, blah, blah, blah. And I'm like, have you even bought a ring yet? Like, what are we doing? He had already done all of these things. I'm just a crazy person and can't leave him alone. We ended up putting an offer in on the land, and it got accepted. Last Thursday, my dad kind of had a conversation with me after me and Kanan like signed the papers to put in an offer for the land. What are y'all doing? Like, I need to know, as your dad, what's going on? Are y'all gonna get married? Like, I don't think that you should be buying this land with him. And my dad has never been one to say that. He loves Kanan to death. I was like, oh my gosh, now my dad thinks this too. Like, I'm gonna have to talk to Kanan. I said something to Kanan. Let's just say it did not go over very well. And I was like, yep, he's definitely not proposing anytime soon because of that reaction. So then Friday, everything's fine. Saturday, you know, I had my little cousin's birthday party, and we went. Everything was normal. Nothing happened. He wanted to go ride his razor. The battery was dead. He got a little frustrated about that. Didn't think anything of it. Sunday, Father's Day. I didn't talk a whole lot because we were just spending time with our dads and everything. Lipstick makes me feel like I don't know what I'm doing with my life. So on Monday, we went to his house, and he was like, I need to buy a battery for my razor. This battery has been broken for like months, and it just kind of works and doesn't work sometimes. So we went to the store. I was kind of aggravated because if you're in the season of waiting to get proposed to, you know how aggravating it can be sometimes. So I was just kind of like not in a good mood. And so we buy the battery, put it in the razor, and he tells me that he has to go to the hunting property that is like next to his house and get his deer stands down because they're clearing all of them out just to get all the old ones gone. We find one of the stands, and like he didn't bring his climbing gear to go take it down. And I was like, well, aren't you just the smartest person ever? He's like, well, I can take the other one down. So we go to find the other one. On the way to the second deer stand, we literally go through like every mud puddle on this property, and I like hardly ever get muddy when we ride the razor. And I wasn't expecting to, so I was in my nice clothes. And then we finally get to the spot where he claims his deer stand is. I'm getting out, I'm looking around, I'm covered in chiggers because we're walking through the woods. And then he's like, I just can't find it. So he calls his cousin. And he looks on his phone and he squats down. And so I turn around, I'm walking the other way looking for this deer stand. I'm on my phone. And he goes, Emma? And I turn around and he's on the knee holding the ring. And I was like, are you serious? Is this for real? Like, I cannot. I am somebody who is a stalker. I'm an FBI agent. I don't know how I didn't see it coming. I don't know how I didn't find the ring on his phone. But I somehow missed it, okay? Like, if you have been waiting almost a year for this, like, it's like, is this real? Is this happening? is this like, this is how it's happening. You're doing it right now. Like, I thought I would like cry and be so emotional and be like, oh my God, this is everything I've ever wanted. And I was just so like shocked that I did not know how to react. I did not react in the way that I wanted to, in the way that I thought I would. I mean, it was perfect the way that it was, but I was just so surprised. And if you know me, I did not expect to be surprised. I figured I would know, and I did not know at all. He did it perfectly, so I would not know. Looking back at all the things that had happened that week, he asked my dad on Thursday. That's why my dad asked me about that and was being all critical because he knew he was going to propose to me. Also, another little fun fact, he's had the ring since November of 2025. He's had it for almost a year. It was just perfect, and I have loved Kanan literally since before I even knew who he was. That's what I literally always say. He was just made for me exactly the way that it was supposed to be. He has like such cute little stories about it. I could tell you so many things about my engagement. Literally cannot wait to be in like wedding mode and like plan everything. Anyway, y'all, that is a story about how I got engaged last Monday, and I am so excited to take y'all along with me in this journey. And I'm starting my first year teaching. We're building a house, just bought land, and yeah, it's gonna be a crazy year. So follow along with me, and hopefully y'all can help me get through it. Bye, y'all.
About 6 weeks into school, I found out that I was pregnant. Every time I post a little bit about my life online, I get so many questions about how I got here, so I'm gonna get ready and tell you my story. I was born in Tupelo, Mississippi, and I lived there for 9.5 years before my family and I moved to Franklin, Tennessee. Growing up, I was always involved in something, whether it was swim team, church choir, dance, gymnastics. But when we first moved here, I started doing competitive gymnastics, and I did that for about 4 years until I started dance. I was a competitive dancer until my freshman year of high school. I met my now husband the summer going into my junior year. Right after I graduated high school, I started cosmetology school that June. About 6 weeks into school, I found out that I was pregnant. I had a really hard first trimester, and so I missed a lot of school, and I went in to have a meeting with my school, and to say the least, they were not supportive. I did decide to leave that school and put all of my focus into becoming a mom. At the time, I was devastated and felt like my life was going in the complete opposite direction than what I was wanting it to. But looking back now, I honestly got my life completely back on track by finding out that I was pregnant with my son, and I literally would not change it for the world. My son was born in March of 2024, and the following Christmas, I decided that I was gonna go to community college. I was in school for advertising and public relations because I really wanted to do something related to social media. After my first semester, I got the idea in my head that I actually wanted to be an art teacher. So my second semester of college, I was taking art classes and elementary education classes. Logan and I got married in the middle of my second semester in October. Did a 10-day honeymoon to France. We went to Paris, Nice, Monaco, and Cannes. That was the best experience of my life. I cannot wait to go back and take Reed with us. But once we got home from our trip, I really just had this clarity that I did not want to be in community college anymore. I did not want to be an art teacher. I didn't want to work in a school at all. And that is when I found my current cosmetology school. I never thought that I'd be able to go back and pursue cosmetology in any way because all of the schools that I knew about were 50-hour weeks, and that was just something that I definitely could not commit to having my son at home. But the school that I found let their students go part-time and pick their own schedules. So I put Reed in a 2-day-a-week church school with his cousins. I started going back to cosmetology school almost 6 months ago. I am way more part-time now than I usually am just because it's summer and Reed's not in school. So I'm really grateful that I get to keep getting my hours in, but also spending 3 days a week at home with my son for the summer. I still always had in the back of my head that I wanted to do something with social media and be in that sort of creative world. And now that I'm in cosmetology school and posting all of my hair content online, it's really given me a push to want to make more personal content for myself. Obviously, being young, married, and having a kid really does have its hardships, but really feel like we've won the lottery and lucked out on all of this. One of the best parts about our journey, though, is I have found the most amazing group of young moms that have become my best friends. We've really been trying to encourage each other to post more on social media and see what can come from it. If there's one thing my story has taught me is that your plans at 18 are not always going to be the life that you're supposed to be living. And I'm so grateful for that. I would not change my life for the world. I'm really excited to see where this can take me and see if I can connect with more moms in this area. If you're still watching this, thank you for being here, and I'm excited to see what happens.
Hey y'all, so story time on how I'm currently getting stalked and harassed by my crazy 30-something-year-old ex. So this all started because I had wanted to go to Jamaica for my birthday one year. And I tried to plan the trip in advance. I told him about 6 months ahead of time what I want to do for my birthday and how I wanted to go about it. And he doesn't travel. He doesn't have his passport. He's not into that stuff like me. So he just was like, oh, Micaiah, like, I might be able to go, but I don't know if I can go because of the finances and the passport and all the things. I kept it real with him from the start. I'm going to go regardless if you go or not. Okay, I'm going to enjoy my birthday regardless if you go or not. Let's fast forward to a couple months before the trip. I done already booked the resort. I done already booked flights. I done already booked excursions. Everything's already taken care of, actually. We at my house one night, and he's just like sitting next to me, like, "Oh, babe, is it okay if when you're gone, I stay in your crib and I invite some friends over and stuff like that?" Keep in mind, I have my own apartment. He lives at home with his people. I instantly shut that shit down. I said, no. Why would you be sitting in my house with your friends while I'm on vacation when you have somewhere that you live and you could bring your friends home with you over there? Instantly flipped the fuck off on me. Like when I told you, he started calling me bitches, going crazy, this, that, and third. So I told him, I said, I think it's best if you go home tonight. We need to take some space. You need to calm down. He gets on the bus. He goes home because he doesn't drive. Fast forward to the next morning. So he gonna blow my phone up. Like, I mean, I woke up to a whole fucking book of shit. And he just was like, oh, I don't know why it's a problem. Like, you're my girlfriend. I should be able to use your shit when you're gone because your shit is my shit. Who said that? Who said that? Because I didn't. But anyways, continue on what he was saying. He started calling me like all types of names, and he was telling me like, oh, if the reason that you're scared for me to stay at your house while you're gone is because you think I'm gonna bring other females over there. Well, you're wrong, because if I really wanted to have other females, I could bring them over to my mother's house anyway, and you wouldn't know. Is that supposed to be a flex? Because that's not cute, son. It's not cute. Okay. Day went on. He was blowing me up while I was at work. I ignored it. When I got off work, he had the nerve, the audacity to ask me, could I come and pick him up? Like, no, you're acting crazy. You need to get yourself together first, and then we could talk when you have the same mind. Flip the fuck off. He told me I was all these different names. I was dirty. I was this. So I said, I'm not dealing with this. He said, oh, if you don't come pick me up right now, we can break up. I said, fine. Maybe it's best if we go our both separate ways. And, you know, I thought it'd be done with that. Like, he got his shit off, cussed me out. I got my shit off, cussed him out. It is what it is. Man, I forgot that he had one of my old iPhones. I let him use it because he broke his phone. Like my old iPhone 11, some shit like that. And why this nigga use my old iPhone to hack into my IG, start posting weird shit on my IG, was going in my DMs telling people that I have STDs and that I have this and this and that and that. And I'm like, hold the hell up, nigga. How are you doing that? And I had to realize, boom, he has the old phone. So I contacted, who I need to contact, Instagram, Meta, whatever the fuck it's called. I got my account signed out of all those devices, changed the password, did all the things. And I thought it was done at that point, but oh my God, it gets so much worse. So I thought everything was taken care of once I had the password changed and I had logged out of that iPhone 11. Everything was good for maybe a week, and then all of a sudden I noticed anytime someone would follow me, like not too long afterwards, their account would disappear. Keep in mind, my account was private. My account was public, so you could just follow me. I didn't have to answer a request. It just let you follow me. Or anytime someone DM me, same thing. They would DM me. It would be there for maybe like a few minutes to an hour. Look back, the whole conversation disappeared. I can't look the person's account up. The person just gone. Then I looked into my settings and I found out that this dude had another one of my old phones, my old iPhone 13, that I thought was broken up and busted, and was using that to log into my Instagram. Because when you have your iCloud account and you link your passwords, and you update them, it links across the iCloud chain. I did the same thing. Got the password changed. I logged it out of that iPhone 13, and I thought everything was good. So then, after that, I started receiving emails from him. Because when we broke up, I blocked his number. That should be a given. So And he tried the whole, oh, let me text you from different numbers, blocked every number he tried to contact me from. Every text, every call, blocked it when it was another number. So he started sending me emails. At first, the emails were like mean. They were like, fuck you, I hope you die. I hope when you go to Jamaica, you don't come back. And this is that and the third. I'm going to tell everybody that you're dirty and you're this and you're that. And I'm like, you know what? Like, I don't care what you tell people because I know what I am. I know I'm not dirty. I know I don't have none of that crazy shit going on that you're trying to accuse me of. So you want to spread false information? Be my guest. And he just was continued to say these things and how he was like, if you're not going to be with me, then shit's not going to be sweet for you. You're going to have to always look behind your back, like threatening me type shit. So when it started getting really aggressive like that, I told him, like, you know, stop talking to me now. I'm going to get a restraining order on you. This man going to send me another email back talking about some, oh, a restraining order, just a piece of paper. That's not going to stop shit. It doesn't matter. Like, he's going to do what he does. I blocked that email account. Okay. Nigga made another email account. Kept messaging me. This time, he started switching up saying, oh, I love you so much. I miss you. I'd do anything to get you back. Woody, 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 woo. I don't want to hear that shit. You already have proven me that you're batshit fucking crazy. So I started ignoring the emails. Blocked that email account too. Thought shit was sweet. Tell me why. Not too long after that, I went ahead and I had made the reservation for my birthday dinner in advance. And I sent the invitation out to all my friends and all the things. He didn't know about that because I wasn't with him. Why I get an email from another random email account saying, from him that had like his name in the title saying, oh, I hope you enjoy your birthday dinner at STK this Friday. How in the world do you know that I have a birthday dinner anywhere? Because I'm not with you, I don't talk to you, I blocked you, so how do you know that? That's very creepy. And then I looked into my Gmail settings. Why the nigga is logged into the Gmail account through the old iPhone 11? So now you're watching my emails. You saw that I got the confirmation email for the reservation for my birthday dinner, and you're going to text me on some creepy shit saying you hope I had fun. Like, come on now. That's a different level of commitment to being in someone's business. To go as far as to watch their freaking emails. So, same thing. Contact Google. Get the password changed. Log it out of... I just did a precautionary. I logged it out of every damn device, including the device it was on. And I had to re-log back in, change the password, did everything. I get an email from another random email account. Oh, you think changing your email password going to stop me? I always have a way to keep tabs on you. Da-da-da-da. I'm always going to know what you're doing. Like, what the fuck type of stalker ass shit is this? He's like, oh, I'm going to run into you one day. And I'm just like, are you really serious with this right now? Like, you're going this far as to doing all these things? And you would think it stopped there, but it didn't.
I'm Samantha, and I grew up educationally neglected as a child. I grew up homeschooled, and I grew up with a father who built and ran a liberal arts college. And even though he had a liberal arts college, we were still somehow educationally neglected. There's a lot of backstory to this, so I'm going to do my best to explain it, so bear with me. So from the age of 6, my family moved to a really small town so my dad could build this liberal arts college from the ground up. What that means is my dad is gone traveling to try and raise funds. He's lecturing. He was a big part in like homeschooling communities because his college was very based on how to be self-sustaining and how to grow your own food, how to put your animals, how to basically live off grid because, you know, people in Utah are very much doomsday preppers. So my mom had to pick up 2 jobs because my dad was gone traveling all the time. And since we were not put in public school, we were just home alone all the time. And because my dad's college was about how to raise animals and stuff, he got a whole bunch of farm animals. And then since he was traveling so much, that responsibility of taking care of them fell on my older sister and I. So our day-to-day life was basically take care of the animals, come home. We weren't allowed to leave the house till after 3 p.m. so people thought we were in school or doing some sort of school. And then when we got older, we would have our jobs, so then we would go to our jobs, make our own money. I've been buying my own clothes since I was 9 and buying a lot of my own food because we had a lot of food storage, but as a kid, you don't want to eat kidney beans or black beans or pinto beans. We had a lot of beans. And so we would buy ourselves like pizza and corn dogs and candy, all that stuff. And so when my dad was home, he wasn't present much either. He would be up on the property trying to build like student housings or build the farm for the animals, because they started off in our backyard and then eventually moved up to the mountain. This is going to be a really long video, so I'm going to do a part 2. Our day-to-day life barely consisted of any schooling because we didn't have any parents there to make sure that we had schooling. And then we would complain about, hey, I feel like I'm not getting anything. And then they would be like, all right, we're going to have class every single day, blah, blah, blah. And that would maybe last for 2 days, and then it would be too much for them, or they would get distracted. And then it would just kind of not happen anymore. And so, you know, as kids too, we were like, all right, whatever, we can do whatever we want all day, so okay. And it was just kind of that over and over and over again. But the most schooling I've ever done is I learned phonics with my mom. Oh my gosh. And then we did like math sheets, as well as we would like print out of a book, like we would copy what's in a book to practice our handwriting. The first test that I ever taken was when I was 15 years old. It was my driver's ed test, and I've never been to a day of school in my life. So growing up, I felt very lost. I wanted to learn, I just didn't know what to learn, because as a child, educationally neglected, you don't know what you need to know. And a lot of the times I felt like I didn't know how to learn, because if I'm trying to learn something and I get stuck, I don't have any resources to get unstuck. I can't just sit there and look at it until I figure it out. Like, I didn't have anyone there to help. I didn't have the internet to look it up. Even if I had the internet to look it up, I could not spell worth anything. Like, even Google wouldn't understand what I'm trying to type out because my spelling was so bad. And it became very obvious as I made friends when I got older, the lack of education that I was getting, because I didn't know how to spell, and all my peers knew how to spell. They knew how to read properly. They knew math. They like all of these things, and I just felt so embarrassed. I would avoid reading or writing or doing any of those things because obviously I don't know, and I would get made fun of, and it was just I felt so stupid sometimes. And so I definitely struggle with that growing up. And I asked my dad a couple times if I could go to public school, and his answer was always, why do you want to go to public school? You only want to go there to get socialized and like hang out with your friends and stuff. And I was like, okay, yeah, that's like part of it, but I also want to go learn something. I just want to learn. And he, for some reason, thought that we were getting educated. I don't know how he thought we were getting educated, because it definitely wasn't by him and it definitely wasn't by my mom, because they're both gone all the time. And while he's off educating other people's kids, we are just home being extremely educationally neglected. But he would always tell me, like, oh, you're so smart. You're probably like smarter than all those kids in public school. And then he would ask me specific questions that, of course, he knew that I would know the answer to prove that I didn't need to go to public school.
Story time! Why I don't dog sit anymore. I do still offer pet care when I'm available, but no longer dogs. And this is going to be part 1. There were 3 incidences that led to this in order, and I'll do them in separate parts. Number 1, 2 Aussies in a small house. I was in charge of letting them out that morning, letting them out that night, and then letting them out the following morning. Every single pet I care for, I require a meet and greet in advance, and I have to be able to have a very long interaction with the animal to preface. And the meet and greet went well, so I agreed. Dog A was a female, about 7 years old, I think. Dog B was a male, about 2 or 3. Upon greeting, she told me, Dog B does not respond well to eye contact with strangers. If you don't look him in his eyes, he'll be perfectly fine with you. So I looked her in her eyes and put my hand down and pet and greet the dog while we're talking about everything. And after I ask, okay, now that he knows me and he's being nice to me, will he respond better to eye contact? And she said, yes, that's fine. We made eye contact from those interactions out, and it was fine, actually. And to save a lot of words in a long story, the morning let out went perfectly fine, off without a hitch. Now fast forward to the evening let out, and it's important to note that it is already dark outside. This is daylight savings time when this happened, so it was dark at like 5 o'clock. Dog A free roams the house. Dog B, the one with behavioral concerns, is in a crate in a room. When you go in this house, it's the entrance door, and then there's like a mudroom with a gate separating you and the dogs. So I got in the house successfully. Dog A, not the one with behavioral concerns, is immediately head hung low, whale eye, growling. I
thought it might be the dark, so I turned the light on, like a dumbass. And for some reason, being able to see me better made her way more mad. And, like a dumbass, I approached the gate separating us anyway to see if maybe this was a barrier thing and not actually aggression because it's dark outside and maybe she's having a sense of like protection. I reach for the gate and she lunges at my fucking hand. Because I have reflexes, I whip my hand back and she did not get me. That is important to note for this instance, I was not bitten. But she was not letting me in that damn house and that was made clear. I messaged the owner, I told her everything that happened immediately while it was happening. I was still in her driveway when I was telling her what was going down. And she was very sweet and receptive. She completely understood and she handled it very, very, very well. It's the next two where it started to get really bad. Even though this did not result in like a fight between me and an owner, it was the first one to really put a bad taste in my mouth and go, should I be volunteering to care for dogs? Because even with a greeting, you don't know how they're going to act when it's just you and them, when it's you walking into their house, what time of day it is. There are so many variables. Part 2 coming soon, I promise. Story time! Why I don't dog sit anymore, part 2. And to be frank, I should have stopped after this interaction. Part 3 shouldn't have even happened. New owner, small 1-level house with 3 dogs. 2 are sweet as can be, 1 is very stranger dangery. Not aggressive. Want to clarify that. That dog never ever attempted to hurt me, but was just really wary of strangers. Like if I had tried to get in her face and reach down and pet her, that might have caused a reaction. But she was completely fine with me coming in the house, doing stuff, cleaning stuff. She listened to my commands, waiting for her food. Like she was a very receptive dog despite that. And I only say that to make sense for this part. After what I described in part 1, my contract changed and added new questions for owners. I told her, so even though I have cared for over 30 dogs at this point in the area, I have had a single instance where the dog would not let me into the house. And I asked her, if your dog shows this behavior when you leave and your dog won't let me into the house, I was only there for 3 visits in one day, what would you like me to do? The question did worry her a little bit at first, and I explained further and she understood. And she gave me her best friend's number, said she's like family, if she won't let you in, call her, the dog will let her in. So we had a plan in place. It was great. So I thought. And I am not bashing anyone for doing this. This is important for the rest of this. One of the dogs, the stranger danger one, is very nervous even about going outside and doesn't even go out to use the bathroom. So the house is covered in pee pads and my job was to clean them up and change them every visit. I also asked her, do you crate or separate your dogs whenever nobody's here? And she said, absolutely not. She said one of the dogs had broken teeth on a crate, and I can't remember her other reasoning off the top of my head. This was like a year and a half ago now, but she was adamant. Absolutely not. We do not crate the dogs. We don't separate them. We don't even have crates. And again, I am not bashing anybody who lives like this. I live like this sometimes. It's relevant to the end, I swear. The house was a little dirty, like boxes everywhere, cardboard, like just kind of random stuff sitting out. And again, I'm not bashing. I clean my house like once a week. So every time I come for a visit, I went morning, afternoon, and night. She was going to be home the next morning. I had to spend like 20 minutes cleaning the house in between because they tear this house up. I was there like every 4 hours and all the pee pads around the house were completely filled gross. Some of it wasn't on the pee pad, some of it was on the carpet. And while I do actually clean a few houses, that's a separate thing. These are 2 separate tasks that I do. And I still did some extensive cleaning for free in between every visit because I don't want anyone to come home to their house like that no matter what you paid me for. So all 3 visits go off without a hitch. All 3 dogs, especially the stranger danger one, was very receptive to me. All 3 of them were friendly. I didn't have any problems. I was able to get into the house. So I thought it went perfectly. Stupidly. I wake up the next morning at 8:30 in the morning to a Venmo request for the entire fee she paid for me to watch the dogs called damages. And I'm not here to bash her. I'm not pulling up receipts just because it's probably easy to trace down who they are. I don't want anybody getting hate from this. This is my experience and that's why I'm sharing it. But I will sum up those messages for you. Woke up to a long text in addition to the Venmo request, basically saying this is absolutely unacceptable. You came once in the morning and you never came to check on them again. I got home and my dogs had been alone for 24 hours. My house is fucking disgusting. There's shit all over the fucking place. They grabbed all the cardboard, the boxes, everything's dragged all over the house. Sent me pictures of her dirty ass house. And accused me of lying and saying that I left them alone the whole time and did not complete 2/3 of my visits. Now, this was my response in my head when I read it. Bitch, obviously your house is a fucking wreck. You left 3 dogs uncrated, one of which who isn't potty trained. But what I actually replied with and said was, that absolutely was not the case and I can assure you that. I can show you my tracking app of me being at your house 3 times and the drive there. And I basically sat there and respectfully told her that was a major fucking accusation to throw at somebody and it absolutely wasn't true. After what felt like 10 years, she replied and said, look, I'm sorry, I checked my Ring camera. I don't know why it didn't pick you up at the door, but I can hear you talking to my dogs through the camera from inside the house, like during the visit times we established. I don't know why it didn't pick it up. That's my bad. But I still don't get, my house is just ridiculously dirty. I don't understand, how that happened with you cleaning it all day. And I said, you can go look at your back door on the outside, because on her back door on the outside, she had a trash bag dangling to put the pads in. And you'll see that bag is stuffed full, and you'll see where I added a second one on top of it with more of them. And she basically backed down and went, I should have made better sure before I went off. That's my bad. And I really don't care that she came around. That's a position I knew I never wanted to be in again. And the fact that I watched dogs again after that makes me feel even dumber. Stay tuned for part 3. Story time! Why I don't dog sit anymore, part 3, final part. This one took the cake for me and was the last thing I needed to never take care of dogs ever again that I'm not related to by family. While I'm not willing to watch any dogs now, I used to be okay with reactive dogs that were okay after introduction because I know it's hard to find someone who will watch them. And if you're watching this and going, duh, Alex, that's dumb as shit. Yeah, I know. And that's why I don't do it anymore. A lady reached out. She had 2 smaller dogs. I forget what breed, Chihuahua mix or something similar. And then she had a bigger breed that was a mixed breed. I could see the bully, but I'm not sure what else. He had a curly tail, prick ears, so it's kind of hard to tell like what all's in there. And she told me that he was reactive. Dog people, we know that reactive and aggressive are not synonyms. I get there, sure as shit, he's not reactive. He is aggressive as fuck. One of those, if you are not my mom, my dad, or the kids that live in this house, I will you type dogs. And he's barking at me from inside his kennel, showing every concerning behavior in the whole damn world. And my dumbass is like, oh, well, you can't just assume, like, people know their dogs. People know how they act at first. Don't ever assume that people know anything about dog body language just because they own dogs. Lesson learned for me, hopefully a lesson learned for you. I'm standing in their kitchen, she's in their living room, there's a baby gate in the middle separating us, but we can all see each other. She lets the big dog out of the kennel, because all 3 dogs were kenneled together. Lets them all out of the kennel, big dog comes out, she's holding his collar, he is like a Malinois, watch him, at me. Like I thought that dog wanted me dead. I kind of think he did. And this lady tosses me a treat and goes, if you come in here with a treat, he'll like you. I'm holding the treat. I'm not dumb enough to walk in the room with this dog. I've told you so much dumb stuff in this story time, I'm not that dumb. Or I wasn't at the time. Even just seeing me holding the treat like pissed him off more. And I straight up told her, I'm so sorry, but I'm not crossing that threshold. I'm not walking in there with him. And she was receptive. She was understanding. There was no attitude about that. She understood and she was like, all right, it was worth a shot. So she leaves him loose in the other room with a gate separated and crosses the gate, comes back into the room with me, closes the gate. This dog is still hooting, hollering, threatening me, like throwing up gang signs at me from the other room the whole time. And her little ass kid, out of all people, walks up to the gate and tries to open it with the dog lunging at me. And I'm sorry, she was way too chill about that shit. She just grabbed his arm. No, we're not letting the dog out right now. And that was it. We're sitting here saying our goodbyes and I'm trying to do my civil. Yeah, I'm sorry it didn't work out. Like, I hope something does. I used to work at a vet. Like, if you can do sedation, maybe there's these options. Trying to help her find something because I know what it's like. We used to have a genuine reactive dog, not an aggressive dog, but we used to have reactivity in our house and I know how stressful it is when nobody can care for your dog. And my dumbass shouldn't have done that either. I should have just left. Sorry, it didn't work out. Bye. That should have been it. But because I gave them 2 minutes of opportunity sitting there, her kid goes again this time and actually opens the gate. Dogs rushing towards me. It all happened so fast. You know, mom doesn't really have time to do anything. And the only thing that saved me was the fact that my sleeve was like this when I went to close it. Fast as fuck, I grab the gate, slam it closed out of fear and like self-preservation. And he latches onto my wrist because I was too close. Thankfully, my sleeve took 90% of the damage. I swear to God, I still have the sweatshirt. I'm gonna go find it and show y'all what that fucking sleeve looks like. Editing note. This is a sweatshirt I wore. Ignore how old and like fucked up it is. This is the hand that he grabbed. It's his little teeth marks and all. Shout out to this busted ass sweater for saving my wrist.
I'm an alcoholic, and the last time I had anything to drink, I ruined my best friend's wedding. At least that's what I thought for an entire day. So what actually happened was I quit drinking months before this wedding. I was in this wedding as my best friend. Everything was going good. I was super excited to be planning the wedding with her. Just everything was good. Up until about a month before the wedding, I started to get kind of nervous because since I was in the wedding, I was going to be there from morning till night basically, and I knew that there was going to be alcohol everywhere. As soon as we got there, she ended up having an open bar, so I started to get a little bit nervous. I was only a couple months sober at this point, so I was not sure that I was strong enough to be around alcohol all day long, but I had convinced myself that I was fine, that I was not gonna have a single drink. For weeks, that's what I said, no matter what, especially because I do get crazy. So I was like, there's no way I'm gonna jeopardize drinking and having something go wrong or ruining her wedding. The day of the wedding, everything's good. I get there like 8 in the morning. I'm just trying to be there for her and help her and get ready. Obviously, as soon as I get there, there's mimosas and champagne everywhere. I'm hyper aware that it's in the room, but I'm like, it's fine. It's perfectly fine. I'm gonna get ready and do this and just be distracted, but I did notice how much alcohol was in the room. So we're a couple hours in and I'm a little antsy. I'm like, okay, you know, everybody's drinking. I'm feeling a little left out. I'm feeling like, why can't I just have one drink, you know? Because it's never just one. That's why I can't have one drink. And then it's about time to take pictures and do the ceremony, the getting married part. And I don't remember who said it, but somebody was like, oh, well, we have to do a toast. We have to do a toast before you get married, you know? And at that moment, everything in my brain just went away and I was like, you know what? I can do one toast. I have to do the toast with everybody else. Like, that's part of the wedding. That's part of the ceremony. I did not have to do that toast. I did not have to, but I did. So I have a little glass of champagne. Everything's fine. We go take pictures. Good. Perfectly fine. See, I had one drink. We're great. And then I want to say right before, right after the actual ceremony, somebody was like, well, we have to take a shot. We have to do a celebratory shot because that's what you do when you're celebrating. You take shots. So I was like, you know what? I had a little bit of champagne and then just one shot. It's one shot and I have to celebrate with everybody. So I end up taking the shot. And pretty much once that shot hit my system, that was it. Game over. It was just downhill from there. At this point, the wedding or the ceremony and the pictures, all that is over. The speeches, dinner, everything's done. We're at the part where you party. The reception, I'm not sure what it's called. So I keep drinking and I, of course, black out like I do every single time. So I don't have any memories past dinner. 0, completely gone because that's what happens when I black out. So when that happens, I don't have memories to go based off of. So I just fill in the blanks with worst case scenario, like worst thing possible. Because usually I'm doing something fucking crazy. So I don't even know what I thought that I did. But I somehow convinced myself that I had somehow ruined the entire wedding. And I don't know how. So I tried calling my best friend the next day. Mind you, the next day I'm hungover. I feel like shit, depression at an all-time high because that's how it always is. I was struggling. So I tried to call my best friend. She didn't answer. So I was like, okay, that just it basically solidifies she hates me. I ruined her entire wedding. The day goes by. I'm just basically crying all day because, I ruined my best friend's wedding and I'm hungover. I feel terrible. She calls me later that night and she was like, hey, I'm so sorry. Like, we got busy today, blah, blah, blah. She was like, oh my gosh, yesterday was so fun. Thank you so much for planning. It went perfect. I said, it went perfect. I said, yeah, that's so great. I didn't tell her that I had just spent the whole day thinking that I ruined her wedding. Basically, everything went great. I got picked up and went home and that was that. But I convinced myself that it was far worse than it actually was, which happens pretty much every time I drink. But the thing is, sometimes it is the worst case scenario, or I'm waking up in jail. And that is the very last time I had anything to drink.
Story time on how I experienced racism with my Pilates instructor. So basically, I'm new. This was my first month and I'm doing reformers Pilates. So I had booked a class that said cardio and a jumping class. And I really wanted an intense workout. So it was like, okay, this is cardio, period. Let me book it. So I booked it and everything seemed pretty normal. But the instructor asked me, oh, this is your first time? I was like, yeah. Okay, the whole freaking class, she was correcting me. Okay, there's nothing wrong with that because if I need to be corrected, correct me, girl, because I'm trying to get the best out of my workout. But if you know, sometimes it's like you gotta use your head more than your body sometimes because it's you gotta jump a certain way and then you gotta lift your leg up but make sure your hip isn't touching. So it kind of takes a moment, some tries for you to adjust, especially when you're a beginner. So it's taking me a couple tries and she was just not patient with me and she kept correcting me. Okay, that's fine, but she was correcting me in a very rude way. I didn't feel no niceness from her. You could feel when somebody's kind of it honestly felt like she was bothered by me or something. I'm not kidding. The class was 50 minutes and she corrected me about 15 times. Every time she walked past me, she would correct me. Okay, like I said, that's fine, but she was doing it in a really rude tone. It wasn't welcoming or anything. It felt like she was mad. She was bothered by me. Anyways, so then I heard her correct. Okay, keep in mind there was another new girl there. Somebody that had never done a gym class before. So I wasn't the only new one, and she kept correcting me. She corrected the other girl, but girl, let me tell you, she was hecka nice to her. Her tone was completely different, and they even laughed. They were laughing oh, this I thought it was this and they both were laughing. And I'm kind of okay, maybe I'm just tripping. Okay, maybe I'm tripping.
Girl, tell me why we were like jumping and then like you had to like kick your leg out. And I was gonna start doing it, but like I said, I'm adjusting to like everything, trying to get everything else right, making sure my hip isn't touching or like I don't know, like, and you have to like your arm has to be a certain way. So I'm adjusting, and I wasn't kicking my leg out as much, and she came and like she started snapping at me, girl. Like she was like bitch, put your leg out. And I'm like, what the fuck is this girl snapping at me? Is this a lady? Sorry, she's like a older lady. Is she snapping at me right now? Like, this is crazy. So she snapped at me a few times, like 3 to 4 times, because I didn't have my leg out. And I look at her, and this girl like damn near rolled her eyes. She was like basically telling me like she don't fuck with me, right? And at that moment, I felt so bad and so like embarrassed because I'm like, am I the only one that caught that? Like, that's embarrassing, somebody snapping at you. And in that moment, I was like, I'm about to just walk out. But I didn't. I did not walk out. I just was like, I'm just gonna, I'm just not gonna ever book with her. And I thought, like, should I tell on her? Like, should I tell, like, somebody that she did that? No, I didn't. I didn't say anything in that moment. I'm telling you guys, I did end up snitching on her, but at that moment I didn't. And then she was like, at the end of the class, she asked the new girl, like, oh, how was it? And then they were like, oh, it was good, da da da. And she came to ask me, and she was like, oh, how do you feel? And I was like, good. And I just walked out. I was like, I'm not feeling you, girl. Like, you're hecka rude. Weeks went by, and I was like already knowing that I didn't want to like redo it. Like basically like this was my first and only month, and come to find out, girl, it's on auto pay. And that class is like, well, the membership that I had got was like $200. So they had took it out of my account, and I was like, no. I was like, I don't want to continue this, I want my money back. And they're basically saying like, oh, it's the policy, like, you basically, we sent you like the contract, and like you have to give us 30 days in advance. And I'm like, girl, no, girl, that is $200. Like, and I don't want to go back. Give me my money. And they did not want to. And I was like, girl, I don't even want to go back, because I was mad at this point that I just spilled it. I was like, I don't even ever want to go back to there. Like, the instructor there, one of the instructors there was very rude to me while being super nice to other girls. And she even snapped at me like I was a freaking dog. I told them that. And girl, when I said that, they were like very intrigued. They were like, let me know more. Like, what do you mean? And I was just like, I honestly was gonna keep it to myself. Like, but I told them like all the details. And I told him, I was like, honestly, I feel like it was a race thing, because I'm a Hispanic girl, and everyone there is white. They're all white girls. So even the instructor. So like, I felt like, why is she picking on me? Is it because I'm Hispanic? Like, hello. They ended up refunding my money back, and they gave me this month free. So they gave me the money back, and then they were like, you still could come in. And they were like, you don't have to book with her. Like, there's still other amazing instructors. And there is, like, I actually did like some, but I would see like that girl, the lady that like I had that experience with, after like other classes, and it really just killed my mood. Like, I was like, oh my god, like, I don't even want to look at you. Like, it makes me sick. Like, so that's why I kind of just didn't want to be there. But girl, if I have a month free, I might just go. But yeah, that was my experience. And honestly, if you guys ever have an experience like this, speak up. Like, don't do what I was gonna do and just let it slide. Because I thought about it, and I was like, what if another like Hispanic girl or a different like race comes in and she does the same thing to them? Like, I don't want anybody else to experience what I experienced with that lady, because that's such an ugly feeling. And she's just making you feel like you're less. So I should have snitched on her, and I'm disappointed in myself that I was gonna let it go. I feel like everything happens for a reason, and I was able to tell them this and get my money back. So, but yeah, that's basically it.
Hey guys, get ready with me while I talk about how I found out my first ever boyfriend cheated on me with my sister. So we were together for 1 year. I met him my sophomore year in high school. We were a pretty good couple. Everybody knew us. Like, everybody would always say we were so cute together. And we were young, so and to talk about how I found out and what I thought before, and just the whole process of it. I'm gonna start off by saying, if you have a gut intuition about anything in your relationship, just please trust it, because I thought I was going crazy for assuming something. As crazy as this sounds, I never thought that I would actually be right, and I thought it was just, I'm overreacting, but no, I was right. Broke up in 2024. The first sign I ever noticed was when it was Valentine's Day. This was like after our dinner. I came home, I went into my sister's room, and I found like a little chocolate box for her and her daughter as well. Mind you, she was going through a breakup with her and her baby daddy, so he felt the need to get her a gift, because it's Valentine's Day, and he thought like, oh, maybe she wants to feel appreciated or just loved. Okay, so I was just thinking like, okay, that's very sweet of you, but like also I feel like that's just not your kind of place. But also, nor her or him ever told me about the gift, so that's why I was kind of upset, because they completely kept it hidden from me. So I was just like, okay, I blew it over. Like, of course, like, it's just like, I'm gonna look at it as you're being nice, and that's it. But I just didn't like the fact that they didn't say anything to me, and it's just, I never knew about it till I found about. Like, I just found it. And it was in her closet, too. So a few months go by, and we're pretty good. We hit our 1 year mark like in May, and then after that, I'm not the type to ever go through anybody's phone. Like, I don't like to do that. I'm just not like that. I'm just gonna trust you for you, and I'm gonna take your word for it. But I was kind of silly, so at the time, we were in the car together, and my sister texted him, and I asked him, I was like, why do you have her phone number? I was just like, we never exchanged that. Like, I don't remember a time where that ever happened. Obviously, they follow each other from Instagram, which was, I was okay because all my family followed him, so that was okay. I was completely fine with that. But the fact I found out when I went through that phone in the car, he had all her socials, Snapchat, her spam account, her TikTok spam. I just got upset because I was like, this does not happen over like one conversation. You don't get all of these socials and all of these information over one conversation. And I just got upset with him, and he was all like, no, you're overreacting, you just don't want me by your family. That was the excuse he threw in my face, and I was just like, no, I just think that's a little bit weird. So I told him, just please take it into consideration, like, put it in your shoes or my shoes. Like, what if I was texting his brother and had all his things? I said, I feel like you would have been the same exact way. I feel like that's crossing the line. I said, I don't even know what you guys are talking about. I didn't even look at that. I said, I just think that's not okay, and like, there's a certain point. And even to her, she hasn't said a word, and I didn't even know anything about it at the time. Okay, so I go through it and I tell him delete everything, and he deletes everything. Okay, all of it. He unhats her, everything. Okay, so then after he deletes everything from a few months, then we're okay, everything's pretty good. So we got into a little argument all over his mom, like, and for a Hawaii trip that I was going to with my family coming up. And I invited him. I was like, hey, I know it's kind of super last minute, but if you can come, that's great. If not, it's okay, but I would really love for you to come. But I know, like, you had school and work, so you had to balance that schedule. So I said, if you can't, it's okay, So, I had invited him, and, like, his mom was saying, no, like, you can't go. That's too soon. After we've been to, like, a Vegas trip together with his family and my family twice already, and she was saying, oh, we can't go to Hawaii. And I was just like, oh, I just think that's a little bit unfair. I just don't like that she's acting like that. I had said that in our messages, and me and her, we were great. Like, we got along so well, and I was just expressing how I just didn't like how she was feeling that way. I said, I think that's okay to feel how you feel, but for her to go and read our messages in his MacBook was not okay. I said, I feel like you're invading our privacy. I said that wasn't okay, so he had said, I'm being immature, and then we went on a little break from there right after that. So we went on our break, and we were still talking consistently, like every day we would talk. He would still tell me everything's okay, like I love you, and I was under the impression me and him were gonna get back together, couples fight, things, maybe we could work it out. So that's what I was thinking. And I go to my trip on Hawaii, and when I go on my trip, he sends me a text on the day before I'm about to leave, blocking me, and he says, goodbye, this is it, I don't want to hear from you ever again, and blocks all my family members, removes everybody. And I am left with no fucking explanation, and I'm like, what do you mean this is it? Like, I'm just like, I say like 3 words in that whole fucking text message, and I'm blocked. Okay, so I get home from my flight, like my whole flight and the rest of my trip, like, I'm heartbroken as fuck. Like, I'm like, I don't even tell my family. I didn't even react to my parents because, like, I just didn't want them to see that. Like, I didn't want them to have to put up with that on a vacation. Like, I didn't want to do that to them, So I get home, and my sister, she comes in my room, and she's all like, hey, can I talk to you? And I sit there, I'm like, it's about him, isn't it? And she's all like, how did you know? And I was just like, what do you mean? And then she's like, well, I'm gonna sit here and I'm gonna talk to you. So it was like, okay. I start fucking crying because I was just like, what did you do? What happened? Like, like, I was just like, what the fuck could have happened, So she sits in her room, she pulls me aside, we talk about it. She's all like, I got drunk on Friday night, at like 12 in the morning, and at a bar he comes and he picks me up. I went live on Instagram, and he said that he can give me a ride, so he gave me a ride, and we went to Taco Bell, and we went home, and nobody was home, okay? Nobody was home, guys. So we talk in her room, and she says that she got drunk on Friday night, and she went live on Instagram, and he joined her live, and he offered her a ride if you need anything, that he would pick her up, okay? And she accepts the ride. And neither of them told me about it. Nor did she or he. So I didn't know anything about it that night. And I was on vacation, and nobody was home at all. Okay, so he goes and picks her up at 3 in the morning, no, 2 or 1 in the morning, and they go and get Taco Bell together, and then they get to the house, and he says, I'm too tired to drive back home. He lives 20 minutes away. So she was all like, you could stay, that's fine. And she said, you could stay, that's fine, as long as you stay in my room, like my room, or the couch, like the living room. So he was like, okay, and he stayed the night. Nobody even knew about it. My parents didn't even know. She didn't even tell anybody, and she had him over. And they had Taco Bell together in her room, and I guess she knocked out drunk, okay? And when that happened, he kissed her, okay? He kissed her. So he woke her up and confessed that he kissed her, and she was all like, what the fuck do you mean you kissed me? Like, what about me? Like, what about Megan? And he was all like, oh, it was an accident. Like, Honestly, the story was all over the place. I'm gonna make a part 2, so I'm sorry. Just play it in 2x speed or however, but I'm gonna make a part 2. It'll be shorter. Part 2 of how I found out my ex cheated on me with my sister. So after he confesses that he kissed her and she wakes up and says, okay, what about me? She's all like, okay, well, you need to leave now. So she basically kicks him out of the house, right? But also she needs to get her car. So I think she goes back in the car with him to go back to her car, and she just says this isn't okay, and blah 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 blah, this isn't okay. And he's just like, oh, I want to kill myself, like I want to drive off the freeway and everything. Like he starts overreacting and sending her all these messages about it, and she shows me the messages too. She shows me these messages and I see it and I'm just like, what the fuck? So I'm just crying, bro. Like I don't even, like, I'm mad at her and I'm mad at him and I'm just upset and I'm just like, I fucking knew it. Like I said, I knew it. And I said, why didn't you tell me anything? I said, as an older sister, I said, why didn't you tell me anything at all? I'm your little sister, you didn't say anything. I said, I don't trust you. For a while, for a long time, I'm not going to trust you. For a while I didn't talk to her. Today I talked to her because I'm a forgiving person. I forgive, move on, just come at peace with things. So on that day too, I take every single thing he ever bought me, promising everything, all of it, and I go and I drop it off at his house. I drop it off and I call his mom. Even though we're not on the best terms, I apologize to her and I said, hey, I'm so sorry. Of all things aside, I just want to talk to you about something, something what happened, and I just want to say I'm sorry about, the situation between me and you, and this is what happened and this is what he did. And she sat there on the phone and she was crying with me and she said, I'm so sorry. Like as a mother, like I felt like she was really comforting and she was there to really talk about that with me. So we were talking about it and she was just like, I never ever would have expected that out of him. And she said, like, I'm really gonna miss you. And she said, I'm so sorry, Megan, like, you didn't ever deserve anything like this. I said, I am so ashamed of myself. That's what she said. I said, it's not your fault. And we talked after that and I was just like, thank you for everything you've done for me. And she put all the stuff in his room so that way when he got home from work, he was gonna walk in and see all of it. I text him and I say, I don't want to ever hear from you again. And he said he was sorry for everything and like I didn't deserve this, and pretty much all that. We talked about it on text and everything, and I didn't even see him. I didn't even want to see him. I didn't want no in-person thing. I was just done. I was just like, no, I don't want that. I didn't want to put myself through it. I said goodbye. I took everything of him and just left it in the past so fast. So it was just like, goodbye. Until this day, he will still try to text me and ask how I'm doing, and he's always viewed my profiles, and I just haven't replied ever since, and then I'm not going to. So till this day, I don't even know if that's the true story. That's just what she told me, and that's how I'm gonna take it. So they could have done something more, and I personally feel like they did. So that was my story time, and thank you so much for watching if you stayed. Bye-bye.
I've genuinely been wronged by every single person in my life, and I'm really starting to clock it. And I'm going to give a story about how I was so close with this person, and they ended up being the fakest person in my life. So buckle up. Okay, just give a little backstory because it is kind of important. I did move out when I was 16. Mind you, I'm painting, sorry. When I was 16, because my family was so toxic and insane. So I moved from Florida back to Indiana and moved in with this family, and it was legal. And this family was already toxic in itself, but my delusional mind, my traumatic mind was like, this family's better than mine, oh my god. And their daughter, their oldest daughter, who was like a sister to me, yeah, she brainwashed me for so long, on and off, on and off, on and off. It started with her making me think that everybody else was toxic and treats her horribly, and that I'm the only person that treats her good. And yeah, so I would just kiss her ass and kiss her ass and kiss her ass because I wanted to continue to be that person, and she thrived off of it until I got a best friend. And I was very close with this best friend, and me and this best friend actually worked at a tanning salon together. And this best friend was the manager of the tanning salon. And then I got sister a job at the tanning salon, and she hated my best friend. She hated her. She thought she was dumb. She was trying to take her manager position. Like, she was trying and trying and trying. And I was over here like besties with both of them, and they both didn't like each other, so I was in the middle. And sister always made me feel uncomfortable for it, but best friend never did, because she loved me. Anyways, peak of COVID happens. March, the world shuts down. We have to close the tanning salon down because the whole world was shutting down, literally. So me and bestie shut down the salon. That night I went to sister's place and hung out with her so she could brainwash me and brainwash me and brainwash me. During the world shutdown, best friend and sister, they collect unemployment, which I should have done, but they're getting that bag, they're collecting unemployment, and I go back and work at Wendy's when the world starts tiny opening up again, because fast food was still open. So I'm getting that bag, making the same amount I would have made if I was on unemployment, and I was like, oh, this sucks. And I was working at an ice cream shop as well. I was working 2 jobs, and they were sitting at home collecting their unemployment, doing nothing. Mind you, sister had 1 kid that was like, I don't know, probably 4 or 5 at the time. Best friend had no kids. She was, living her best life. So they're sitting at home. They start texting. They start FaceTiming. They start becoming friends because sister is brainwashing her. And guess what happens? Sister turns best friend against me, makes her think that I was trying to take her manager position, and that I'm a horrible friend because I'm not calling, I'm not texting, I'm not checking in. Bitch, I'm working 24/7 to try to keep money to pay my car, while you're sitting at home collecting unemployment and living off your husband. Anyways, so traumatic, but they both turn against me. Bestie then hates me, and sister hates me, and I have nobody for probably 2 or 3 years. Like 2020 to 2022, 2023-ish were some of the most depressing days of my life. Mind you, I was dealing with my brother's addiction, my dad's relapse and addiction, and a relationship that was draining me. And I had only parents that were toxic and taking care of me, and not my blood parents, no friends. I had no other friends. I had nobody and nothing besides work. So what did I do? I worked and worked and worked and worked and worked. And I was still struggling, even though I barely had bills. I was still struggling for some reason. 2023 comes around, okay? Okay, you're still with me? 2023, I think it's 2023. Yeah, around there. 2022, 2023, whatever. Sister gets pregnant, and we're like kind of, working on things because she's coming around more. Like, I literally live with her family, so like I have to see her sometimes, and like we're like, oh, we've grown up, we're doing better, like, and I'm like, I've changed, I'm better, I've changed, let me kiss your ass. So it was Valentine's Day. I remember Valentine's Day. She finds out she's pregnant, and I'm one of the first people she calls, and I'm like, oh my god, I love you so much, I'm gonna be there. So her whole pregnancy, I'm literally like licking her butt, like sucking up to her so much, and she's eating it up. She's like, oh my gosh, this is my best friend. Like, nobody loves me as much. Like, not even my husband doesn't even like me this much. So I become her number one. And then all her few other friends are like, what's going on? Like, you hated her so much and talked so much crap about her. Like, what are you doing? And she would kind of tell me this, but she was like, she's changed. She's probably still talking about me this whole time. So other friends back off. And she doesn't really care because she has me, like, up and, like, putting her number one in my life. Yeah. And then, shit starts to hit the fan with her family. Like, her mom's cheating on her dad. They have to move, and their hoarder house is, like, insane. So me and her have to, like, literally pack up this hoarder house by ourselves. So, like, we really trauma bonded. And her parents moved, like, literally 5 minutes away from her house, and I moved with them at the time. And so of course we got even closer because I could drive 5 minutes to be close to her every single day. And then my mental health is like, what is going on? Because I'm literally watching her mom cheating on her dad, blah blah. So get this, we have an intervention with her parents, both of them, her sister, and her brother, and we're like, mom's cheating on dad, because dad was delusional. Like, he fucking knew. So we were like, something's gotta change. And from then on, I moved out. I moved to Illinois to be with my boyfriend at the time because I couldn't mentally handle it. And everyone cut off their parents. They never cut them off. I think they just wanted me to not talk to them anymore. So parents stayed together. Their parents then hated me. So I had no family yet again, as their, like, families taking care of them, blah blah blah. 6 months ago happens. Okay, mind you, I'm living out in Illinois. She's living at home, living off unemployment. No, she's not living off unemployment. She's living off her husband. Stay-at-home mom. She did have a kid, but, like, come on, she didn't have to be a stay-at-home mom. Okay, she has nothing else to do in her life, so she is constantly FaceTiming me, my ex-best friend, who's her best friend now, and her sister. Every single day she's talking to one of us, and every single day she's gossiping about the other person to one of us. Every single day. And it all caught up to me, and I was like, she's gotta be talking about me this way. She's talking about them this way. Like, what? And then February 18th, my birthday, my mental health crashed, and I decided to go to mental health treatment. Okay. She was like, oh my god, I'm gonna be there for you. Oh my god, I'll be there for you, blah, 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 blah. Day 2 of me being in there, she's like, what kind of grippy socks they got you in? And I was like, I'm not in grippy socks. Like, I'm depressed. What do you mean? And I said, like, I love you so much, but please don't talk like that. And she got so offended. She said, how dare you? How dare you get upset at me for saying that when I've been the number one person there for you this whole time? And so she didn't talk to me the whole time I was in mental health treatment, okay? I found out she's playing the victim the whole time, saying, she's not there for me. You weren't there for me, and I was at my lowest. I even told you I was suicidal every single day, and she still felt that. So, yeah, then I slowly, like, distanced myself, and she blocked me on everything, and I just know she's playing the victim in every single way because she's narcissistic, manipulative, and screwed in the head. And obviously, I will never let her or her family in my life again. Her mom, and her sister are all stay-at-home moms when they don't need to be, with no careers and nothing going for them besides sitting at home and gossiping and playing the victim all day in their life. I hope you were eating popcorn during that, because that's just a glimpse of how everyone in my life has literally been against me this whole time. Okay, bye.
As an Australian girl living in the US, this is something I never even considered until I moved. I thought finding a rental was going to be so easy because it's always been easy for me here, right? Wrong. In the US, especially major cities like LA or New York, they require a credit score, which we don't operate off a credit score really here in Australia, but even when we do, it's not transferable. Besides your credit score, they also require pay stubs and proof of income from your job, which if you're first moving there, you don't have any of those things. To make matters even more difficult, in order to get a credit score, it actually takes 4 years to build it properly. And not only that, in order to open a bank account, you require an address. Now, in major cities, you cannot receive mail to an apartment that is not in your name. They just won't accept it. And you require mail such as a bill as your proof of address. So you go into the bank, they want proof of address in the form of a bill, but you don't have an address in your name, but you require a bank account in order to create a credit score in order to eventually rent something in your name. So it's a real catch-22. The alternative is to use a guarantor's company, which is super expensive. So I ended up having to use a company literally called the Guarantors. They charged me $3,500 as my security deposit. Now that is not the same as a security deposit that you get back. That $3,500 is just enough to get you through the door and only lasts a year. So if you continue on with your lease after the 12 months, then you have to pay your additional about $1,500, $1,000, whatever your rent is, equivalent security deposit to be able to still stay there. That $3,500 expires after a year and you never get it back. And the thing is, in the US, customer service is not what we're used to here in Australia. People really want to do the bare minimum at their job, get paid and go home. So you have to be lucky to find someone that is going to help you that day. So this is how I ended up getting my own apartment in LA with very, very new, if anything, credit score, no pay stubs and no proof of income. Obviously, I had to go the route of the guarantor's company, so that was fine. And I ended up renting in a place that is frequently housing what they call transplants. So someone that is not from LA, generally from out of the country. So they're used to dealing with the goes around of the system. I obviously still had to get a bank account though, right? So what was I doing for that? I actually was staying with a friend for a little while who was in a house, not an apartment. And obviously because no bills were in my name, my phone bill, I changed to that address and then they accepted that as well as the green card and a letter of promised employment. And it's literally because of that, that is the only reason I was able to open up my bank account. It's obviously a lot easier for people that move over being sponsored by a company or have friends and family that help you, but that just was not my experience. But having a bank account alone still isn't enough to build your credit. You have to have credit to build credit, which is a credit card. Now, this is where Americans kind of shoot themselves in the foot because of the whole fraud scamming thing. If you're new coming into the country and you've got a brand new bank account and now you're trying to open up a credit card in order to build your credit, you're immediately looked at as a potential scammer. Considering I had accounts that were under 4 years old, they didn't like the idea of me then opening up a credit card because it's like, well, we don't trust you yet. I honestly can't remember how I ended up opening up a credit card. I just now have one in order to build credit. But then someone went and stole my car when my baby daddy got arrested, and that kind of fucked up my credit score. These are all things that I had to figure out for myself. My lawyer didn't tell me. People that were locals didn't tell me because they don't know what it's like to be foreign coming in trying to figure this stuff out. This is all what's considered regular to them. They don't think that this is something unusual. So if I was to do it all over again, I would find a friend that I can send mail to and have my phone bill sent to that address, go into the bank and open up a bank account as soon as I got there. I think I did it like a year after I moved there. I don't really know why. I think just because I was in that abusive situation, I didn't have the freedom to go and do things for myself. It was very much like I was monitored all the time. And then I would talk to different buildings about my options renting there and whether they work with guarantors. Give you an idea of the cost of living in LA versus Melbourne. What I was spending in Australia was getting me a 3-bedroom, 2.5-bathroom, double-story townhouse, 3 car parks, and from the garage, I had a private elevator into my apartment. This is in Caulfield North in Melbourne. Very wealthy, very safe area, and I had a little patio. That same amount gets me a studio apartment. Granted, it's an expensive studio apartment because the building has great amenities, like the gym is phenomenal, the rooftops are phenomenal. It's actually in one of the very few walkable areas of LA. That's something else that people don't consider. LA is not walkable. You really do need a car. Otherwise, you're Ubering everywhere and that's super expensive. But 3-bedroom, 2.5-bathroom, double story to a studio is crazy.
How I found that I was pregnant at 16 and how I told my parents. So back in October, I was not getting my period, but I already had irregular periods. So I just kind of thought like, okay, maybe my period's just late. But then some weird stuff started happening to my body. My girlies were like really sore. My body temperature was like really warm. Like something in my body was off. Like I just knew something was off. So I was just like, I'm just gonna take a test just to confirm that I'm not pregnant. Like I know I'm not pregnant, but I'm just gonna take a test to confirm it. So me and my boyfriend ordered a pregnancy test through DoorDash, and we had to wait till the next morning to actually take it because they said that your pee in the morning was more accurate. Skip to the morning. We wake up at like 9 o'clock in the morning and we go to the bathroom and we take the test, and my boyfriend sits down in front of me, set the test down on the little mini trash can in front of, like beside the toilet. And as I'm getting up to put my pants up, I see my boyfriend like jump up. I look at him and I'm like, what? Like, what is it? And I look down at the test and it's already literally bright blue positive. Next 5 minutes, we sat there literally shocked, didn't say nothing. We literally started crying. After those 5 minutes are up, we get up, we take the test, and we come back to my room. I was just like, this is not true. Like, I don't believe it. There's like no way that this is real. There's no way this is true. That's off. Like, it's fake. You're gonna have to order another one because I'm not believing that one. That's not true. I was literally I was in denial so hard. So he orders another one, and obviously we can't take it again like at that moment. We had to wait. We could have, but we waited till the next morning. But that day I was going to Virginia, so I had to leave my boyfriend. On the way to Virginia, I'm just in the car looking at my mom, and I'm just like, bro, I could tell her right now, but I'm not going to, because what if it's not true? The next morning, I woke up before anybody else in the house, my aunt, my cousins, anything. I woke up and went straight to the bathroom at like 8 o'clock in the morning and grabbed the test. And I tried to call my boyfriend, but his phone had died overnight and he was asleep, so he would not wake up. So I had to actually find out the real results by myself. He already believed it anyways. He didn't need the second one to confirm it. So I grabbed the test, I go in the bathroom after I try to call my boyfriend, and I take the test because I didn't feel like waiting and I had to pee anyway. So I had to hurry up, and I took the test, waited a little bit, I grabbed the test, and there it was, bright blue positive again. So I literally start breaking down crying. I'm in tears, I'm shocked, I'm scared, I'm literally feeling every emotion that you can think of, so freaking scared, didn't know what to do. So like 10 minutes later, I go back in my cousin's room where I was sleeping, and I wanted to wake her up so bad and tell her, but I was so scared that she was going to tell somebody else, and I just could not risk it. So I literally sat with it by myself that whole morning for like an hour until I went back to sleep. My boyfriend finally woke up, and I called him and I told him, and we finally got to talk about it. So the rest of that day, like, I was in Virginia. It was hard to keep it from my mom. Like, me and my mom are besties. Me and my mom are like this. So it's really hard to keep something like that from her. Anyways, I think like a day or two later, I go back home. I'm like, you know what? I still low-key don't believe it. I don't know why. I'm just so in denial. I low-key don't believe it. Let's just make a doctor's appointment. And I don't make my own doctor's appointments like that. I just literally recently started doing that. So it was kind of awkward to do it. Talked to the doctor over the phone, made an appointment, and a couple days later, we Ubered there to the appointment by ourselves, which this was already like my doctor anyway, you know. We like, you know, I could tell her something like this. So we get there and I'm so nervous, literally freaking like so scared, so nervous.
I'm so scared, like I'm so embarrassed if anything.
Like I said, still low-key didn't even believe it. I don't know why. They take the test. She's like, yeah, you are pregnant. You're like around 6 weeks pregnant. And we're like, okay, well, we want to hide this from my mom. So how can we hide this from my mom? Because this is my doctor. She doesn't have to tell my mom. It would actually like go against, yeah, you know, she literally can't tell my mom. So she's telling me how we can hide it for the next months, because me and my boyfriend have literally agreed that we're just going to hide this up until I'm like 4 months. That's what we planned, y'all, okay? That's what we planned. We're like, you know, it's about to be cold outside, so we don't even have to worry about it. I'll just wear hoodies, whatever. I'm not ever telling my mom this. I'm so scared to tell my mom. So yeah, we leave there. And yeah, so now we're stuck with, we know the fact that, you know, I'm pregnant. Then like 2 weeks go by with us knowing, and I'm really, really sick, and a lot of stuff is happening to my body that I don't know what's going on. I'm so scared, and I'm just like, I need my mom. So we go in his mom's room and we tell his mom first, since we were already at her house. We told her. She was really shocked. She thought we were playing at first. She was not happy whatsoever. I'm not gonna speak too much on her reaction. She was just not happy. But she's like, you know what, I'll call your mom and I'll tell her for you if you want me to do it. I'll call her over the phone and you can just listen, and I'll just tell her, you know, for you. So boom, she calls my mom and she tells my mom over the phone, and my mom's just on the phone and she's like, oh my goodness. And I can hear her crying. She wasn't mad. She was just more so sounded a little disappointed and shocked and emotional, which is completely understandable. I'm crying, I'm shaking, I'm scared, I'm terrified, you know. So after that all happens, we go back to his room and I text my mom and I'm like, Mom, I'm so sorry. Like, I'm so sorry, Mom. And she texts me back and she's like, it's okay. I love you. We'll talk about this tomorrow. And after she sent that, I'm like, okay, she's not too mad, because if she was, she would definitely not have responded like that, or even responded at all. The next day, she comes to get me from his house. When we get in the car, she's like asking me, how far along are you? Do you know? How are you feeling? And she's just basically saying, like, I'll support you no matter what you want to do. I'm here for you 100%. Like, I'm not mad at you. It just felt amazing to have that, because, you know, I was so scared to tell her for so long. And so the fact that she was, you know, so supportive was really like such a reassurance and took a huge weight off of my shoulder. So she, the next day, goes to my dad's house, or a couple days later, and tells my dad without me. And supposedly, I guess he was really upset. For the next couple days, didn't talk to me. But then a couple days later, I get a phone call from him. He's just asking me how I'm feeling. He wasn't even more so mad at me. He was more so mad at my boyfriend, which, you know, is understandable. He was asking me if I wanted, you know, what I was going to do with the baby. After we got our parents' support, obviously, we were like, okay, we can really do this, you know. Maybe we can do this. My boyfriend works. He's graduated. We're like, maybe we're in a situation where we can do this and we don't have to get rid of it and have to live with that decision for the rest of our life. Obviously, he was not excited about that decision, but he was like, I'm just going to support you in whatever you decide to do. Whatever. I'm going to be there for you regardless. That's really it on how I told him, how they reacted, and how I found out myself. I hope that this answers your guys' questions or your concern.
Guys, I have two baby daddies. This is a very sensitive topic, so if you don't want to listen to it, just scroll. And if you're going to be a hater, a man especially, down in my comments talking about, it's your fault, you picked the baby dads, don't even waste your time. Anyways, I ended up as a single mom with two baby dads. I want to explain this whole thing down because a girl did text me and asked, oh, did your baby dad really do all those things? No, I'm talking about two different individual people. Each person did their own thing, you know. I would not a single mom by choice, because I would have loved to stay with my first baby dad and at least have like 5 kids with him. Like, I saw him like the love of my life. I saw him like, this is my husband. I'm gonna die with him. Like, I'm gonna be in the grave with him, you know. Like, I really loved him. So basically, with my first baby dad, my son was 5 months old and I started getting postpartum depression. And it was a depression that I was very insecure about myself, extremely badly insecure myself. And instead of him helping me, he was just pushing it. Why was he pushing it? Because I was only insecure about this one girl, which I'm not now, because, yeah, I'm not going to tell you what, but basically, I told him, hey, can you block her? Because, I don't agree that you follow a girl we used to go to school with and not does pornography. And his answer was, I can't do that. She's my friend and I have to support her. I asked him for the sake of a relationship and respect out of me to just block one specific girl. I don't care about the other girls because I'm cool with them. And until this day, I love my girls. But this one specific female, I just wanted him to block her because he was always the first one to like her post. And since I was going through postpartum depression at the time, I was very insecure for some reason of him following her. And I felt like it was disrespectful towards a relationship. He couldn't do it. Anyways, there was this one night when my son was 5 months old where I was listening to a conversation he was having with someone on the phone. He did not know I was there. And he proceeded to say that he was very tired of me and annoyed of me. He didn't know what to do anymore. And he also proceeded to say that the bank lady was fine and she wasn't that bad. That's what got to me. I tried to control myself. I had a breakdown that night. And I very impulsively texted him, I want to break up. And he said, 100% sure. And I said, yes, 100% sure. Like, no, I don't want to break up with you. I love you. I'm in love with you. But out of impulsiveness and out of insecureness, I texted him that. And he took it up the boop. And he decided to block me everywhere that night. And then I had to talk with his parents, and I promised them that I was gonna wait for him no matter what, because we just had a baby. Why would I move on? I told him, I promise you guys I'm gonna wait for him. I just want him to apologize to me. I don't want to be the one begging him for him to apologize to me this time. So I told him, I'm just gonna wait for him to text me and be like, hey, I'm sorry, babe. Can we talk? Yes, baby, But it was a whole different story. I promised the parents that I was gonna wait for him. Meanwhile, he was in Tinder or dating apps. Over there. 7 weeks after we broke up, I thought we were on a break and I continued posting him on my Instagram, thinking we were still together. He proceeded to post a different woman. Yeah. So he moved on 7 weeks after our breakup when our son was barely 26 months old. And then 4 months after our breakup, he already knocked her out, so she was pregnant. That's my first baby dad, and that's how it went. And that's why I became a single mom with my first baby dad, because he was horny and he just couldn't wait. Anyways, and basically he stopped loving me, because I'm sure a guy who's in love would apologize to their girl, but he was not in love with me anymore if he was really looking for other women already on dating apps. And then for my second baby dad, let's just say that 3 years were perfect, butterflies and rainbows. And it went all good until I got pregnant. Let's just say I was 6 months pregnant, and he punched my stomach. He started treating me badly. He started becoming very bipolar, where he would just switch up his moods and become a whole different person. Especially at night, I had to sleep in the bathrooms and be crying all damn night because we would have arguments to a point where he would grab my wrist, put me against the wall, put me against the bed, and scream in my face to shut the... It traumatized me a lot. Anyways, my daughter was born, and then after she was born, it was the same basic story. My daughter was 5 months or 6 months old, and then it was this one day where I decided that's it. It was a normal day. We started having an argument because this one girl texted me screenshots that he tried to text her, and he denied it. I started becoming very screamy, and I started screaming at him hey, why the hell are you lying? Look at the screenshots. Why are you texting women? Why are you doing this? He proceeded to scream at me. He said, again, you're gonna start with your bullshit? And boom, punched the wall in my kitchen. Later on, that same few minutes, he followed me to the room when I was trying to avoid him, and he kicked my door open, and he said, you're not gonna go anywhere. He says, you don't think I'm tired of life too? Proceeds to get my eyebrow knife and follow me to the bathroom. I grab my kids, go into the restroom, and he kicks the door and breaks it, which is this bathroom door. And then he started screaming at me, grabbed me from both wrists, threw me in the bed, and started screaming at my face, talking about, you don't think I'm tired of life too? You don't do. My mom got home on time and opened my room, where I was laying down on bed. He was screaming at my face, and all he said was, she's trying to herself. I'm trying to stop her. I was just sobbing, crying. He deadass just lied, talking about I was trying to, like, no, you weren't. You were trying to beat me. Like, you were just trying to, like, hit me. Anyways, so then after that, he decided to leave with his mom, and I was over here crying and sobbing, like, don't leave, please. Because I was being delusional, talking to myself, being, hey, like, I don't want to repeat the same story, and out of embarrassment, I don't want to end up a single mom again. So I was trying to force him to stay here out of embarrassment and what people would think. He proceeded to leave, and I feel like that was the best decision in my life, because at that time, I finally decided to start my healing process, and then it's been 2 years, and I'm so over him. He does text me talking about, hey, like, if I ever find out my daughter's calling someone dad, like, I'll make sure I beat the shit out of him so he could heal his wounds, attend his wounds. And it was just basically bullshit. So yeah, that's how I ended up a single mom.
Story time about how I almost got kidnapped or arrested. I don't really know what happened. Basically, I'm in Charleston for my friend from home's bachelorette party, and I flew in from LA. So I got in at like 1:30 because my flight got delayed, whatever. I call an Uber, and he comes and he picks me up, and immediately I'm like, vibes are off. Like, he just seems kind of odd, but I'm like, okay, like, benefit of the doubt, maybe he's just like a quirky guy, whatever. I'm also exhausted, so I get in the car, we start driving, and immediately I'm like, is this man like drunk right now? He wasn't even driving bad yet, but he was like fidgeting. He was like throwing his arms around, putting one leg up, one leg down. He's like sweating. And then I saw like a Solo cup in his like, his cup holder, but it didn't smell like alcohol. So again, I'm just like hoping that I'm fine. As soon as you leave the airport, you're like on the highway. So we're on the highway. It's a 40-minute drive. So I'm like calling friends. I'm like, somebody please answer me right now. I don't know what to do, but everyone at the house was asleep at this point. So I was kind of like, okay, I'm on my own here. Probably like, why wouldn't you say pull over and get out of the car? But it's like the middle of the night. It's almost 2 a.m. I don't know where I am. I don't live here, and I don't know anyone who I can call. So I was like, first of all, I don't want to get dropped off on the side of the road, and second of all, I don't know this man. He's like a bigger guy. Like, I don't know if he's gonna get mad that I'm wanting to get out of the car and like go crazy and like retaliate. Like, I don't know if he's gonna get mad. I was like, I could call the police, but he would hear that and he would get mad. Like, I don't know what to do. So I also wasn't for sure he was drunk, but there was definitely something going on. And then as we got closer to the house, I was like, okay, yep, he's drunk. He was like swerving, and just, again, we're not really talking because I'm on the phone with my friend in LA, trying to just like be on the phone with someone to distract myself. But I can tell, I'm like, okay, the driving is getting worse, but we are literally pulling into the neighborhood at this point. We pull up to the house, and 4 cop cars come and swarm around the car. I get out, and they're like, ma'am, and I'm like, look, this is my Uber driver. I'm gonna go inside, like, am I good? And they're like, yeah, you can go inside. And I was like, okay, cool. But by the way, his man is definitely drunk. There is something going on. And they're like, okay, ma'am, like, we'll take care of it. I go inside. They don't even make him get out of the car. Like, I watched the whole thing. They didn't make him get out of the car. And I was like, I mean, whatever. Like, what am I supposed to do? So, but yeah, I don't really know why they didn't breathalyze him. They didn't make him get out. Nothing. And then he drove away. And I was kind of like, hello? Like, can you do something about this? Which I need to report to Uber. I haven't done that yet. I'm going to do it now. Or maybe I'll wait till I leave, just because, I mean, he knows, like, where I'm staying, and I don't want to... I don't know. You never know. People are scary, but that's just like being a woman, I guess. Like, you kind of just have to like be quiet until you're safe enough to do something. Like, I don't know, but so that itself was pretty crazy. And then today we're on the beach, and of course we get in trouble for open containers, which we all know that you can't do that. We're from North Carolina, but like, I don't know, we just kind of forgot, and we
popped a bottle of champagne, and then a cop pulled up and was like, what are you doing? How am I encountering the police twice in less than 24 hours? But he just gave us a warning and went on with his day. So if you're watching this, cop, thank you. Hopefully that is the last of the run-in with the police. By the way, if you have any good recs for bars in Charleston to go to tonight, let us know. I think Lauren and I are gonna go to the store and get stuff to make Aperol Spritz at the house because beach day is not complete to me without an Aperol Spritz. Okay, I need to go dry my hair because it's looking really ratty, but be safe in Ubers, know your surroundings, and I don't know, that was crazy. Okay, bye.
Talk about some controversial rules I have for my 9-year-old daughter as a pretty young mom. So for reference, I am 24 and my oldest daughter is 9 years old. I had her when I was 14. I consider myself to be a little more strict than a lot of parents just because I went through so much and I do not want to see my kids go through the same thing. People are really going to hate this one, but there is not a lot of privacy in my house. And that's simply because I make it that way. Only time a door is allowed to be shut in this house is if you are changing or showering, using the bathroom, something like that. And that's especially, okay, big especially on if you are on the phone for any reason. No private conversations whatsoever, especially not at 9 years old. This kind of goes along with that, but I monitor who my children talk to very closely. My oldest has maybe 2 or 3 pretty close friends that I have approved of and allow her to talk to outside of like school or sports. We're going to church every single Sunday. I don't care how tired you are, you should have went to bed earlier. Now, mind you, my daughter's only 9. She's never fought me on going to church. However, I am well aware that the teenage years are coming and that probably will happen. I am very serious when I say no sleepovers. I could trust somebody with my whole heart to watch over my kids, but if my kids are not in their own bed when I go to bed, I'm not going to bed, and it's just not worth it. I think everybody is fine to sleep in their own bed. I don't mind my kids staying like at a birthday party or whatever the case may be, like late at night, and then I can come pick her up before bedtime and she can go right back in the morning. I know everybody always says strict parents just make sneaky kids, but we're just gonna have to agree to disagree on that one.
I was in 8th grade, my dad was deployed, and my brother was on the high school basketball team, and none of my siblings lived in town, and my mom never went to his basketball games, and I enjoyed going to his basketball games. And there was this kid in my grade who also was on the high school basketball team, and his moms were faculty at the school, so they would always give me a ride. I'd be able to go to my brother's basketball games that were out of town. They would always get concession stand food and stop at McDonald's or someplace after the game. But I never had any money, and they would always offer to pay, but I felt bad because I was like, they can't afford this. Like, my parents wouldn't be able to afford this. Like, they can't afford to feed me. So I always told them, like, nope, my mom's making dinner, I'm good. And they were like, well, we don't want to send you home hungry, like, you know, and I was like, no, I'm okay, please don't buy me anything, like, I don't have the money. And in the back of my head, yes, I'm like, okay, they can't afford it, and they're just being polite, but also I'm like, what if I get a meal at McDonald's, and then they're like, well, you owe me $7, and then I have to go ask my mom for $7, and then she doesn't have $7, and then I can't pay them back. Like, what happens, you know, in my 8th grade brain? Well, anyway, sometimes also my mom would forget to give me money or forget to put money in my account for school lunches, and then that year we didn't qualify for the free lunch program, because usually that's what we did and we were good. So, you know, she knew that I didn't have money in my account. I would either, if we had something at home, I would grab something at home, if it was like a granola bar, whatever, or I would just pretend I had money and I would just go get like the peanut butter sandwich and then the milk. Well, one day their son is behind me in line, and I get up there and they're like, you're like negative, you don't have money in your account, so here's a peanut butter sandwich. And they happened to be out of peanut butter sandwiches, so they're like, here's a milk and an apple. And he goes, hey, you know, what was that about? And I said, oh, well, my mom is sick, so like she forgot to put money in my account for the week, you know, it's no big deal. And he goes, okay. He's like, well, make sure like you get something tonight at the games. And I was like, no, like I forgot to bring money. I said, it's okay. I was like, I'm pretty sure I have some stuff in my backpack. And he was like, well, you don't need money. Like, my mom's will pay for it. And I'm like, no, like, it's okay. I'll be okay with my snacks. And he's like, okay, well, when you guys stop at McDonald's, like, make sure you get something because, you know, you can't go all day without eating. And I was like, again, like, I'll be okay. Like, my mom will make me food, or I'll eat when I get home. And he's like, okay, whatever. So that night I go to the basketball game, and they go, hey, you know, let us buy you something. We heard you didn't eat lunch today. And I was like, oh yeah, my mom is sick. So that's why I didn't, like, she forgot to put money in my account. And so they buy me a hot dog, and I'm like, okay, like, thanks. And they're like, it's on us. So we leave, we go to McDonald's, and they're like, what do you want? Like, we're not taking no for an answer. And I was like, it's okay. I really, like, don't need you to buy me food. I will, like, get something at home. My mom, like, maybe made dinner. And they're like, well, you said your mom was sick. And I was like, I did say that. And I was like, yeah, you know, and they're like, we're not taking no for an answer. Get a meal. So I get my meal, I eat it, you know, whatever, I go home. And the next day, the same thing happens. I don't have money in my account, and they give me a peanut butter sandwich and a milk. Anyway, I get called into his mom's guidance. She's like the guidance counselor or something. And I go into her office, and she's like, hey, like, is everything okay? Because you're constantly turning down food, and this is the second day in a row you haven't had food at school. So what's going on? And I was like, it's like, I said, again, my mom is just sick, like, whatever. And she's like, okay, but I see this year you haven't had food in your account. You haven't had money in your account. And I was like, good point. So I got super embarrassed. So I told them, I was like, hey, I can't go to the basketball games with you guys anymore. Like, I'll go to the last one, but I can't go to them anymore. Like, my mom needs help around the house. Like, she's so sick, and, you know, I was like, so I'm not able to go. And I got so embarrassed. But anyway, the rest of that year, my account never overdrafted again, and I always had a meal. Can't prove it, but I'm pretty sure that they just kept money in my account. And, like, whenever my mom would give me $20, I'd put it in my account, and then they would just make sure that I had money in my account. And that was so nice of them. And that's all I have to say about that. I'd like to start off by saying I'm so glad that your child didn't have to experience what me and millions of other children in America have to experience. This also comes from an extremely privileged take, and I'm sure you're aware of that. But I'm also sure that you're aware there are different rankings in the military, right? So different rankings make different money. Yeah, good job. And even sometimes military members have a different amount of children. So you said child, so I assume that means you only had one child. Well, I had 4 older siblings, and I know what you're thinking. Well, don't have kids that you can't afford. I totally agree, but that's neither here nor there. It already happened, right? And with proper education, like sex ed and future education, like what you're gonna do in the future, is super important to have in schools, which I'm sure you voted against, or at least thought about voting against. But that still doesn't take away from the fact that me and millions of others have gone hungry in the American school system. And that just has to be fixed, right? Like, there has to be things in place so kids don't go hungry. And those things are voting important people in office that help so we don't go hungry. Because I would rather put my tax dollars towards kids getting free school lunch rather than wars and other stupid things that administrations, this one and previous ones, have paid for. And I really hope that your child or your grandchildren never have to go through food insecurity, that they never have to go hungry at school, because it's hard. It's really, really hard to go to school and have to suck your stomach in because you're so hungry, and you don't want your classmates to hear your stomach growling because you told them you weren't hungry and that's why you weren't eating. I really hope that they never have to do that. And if they do have to do that, I really hope that you create a space where they can come to you and they can ask for your help. But I also hope you tell them exactly what you're telling me right now. Why do you deserve for me to pay for your lunch? So I really hope that you start educating yourself on food insecurity, especially in America, and you just have a better take and a better look on life, because this that ain't it.
Ready with me while I tell y'all about how we got pulled over yesterday on our way to Michigan. I never have story times, and something finally happened, so I get to tell y'all about it. So ignore the lighting. I'm not at home, so I don't have everything that I would normally have to film, so videos are gonna be a little wonky. But we're in Michigan, okay? We came to Michigan to see my girlfriend's family. This is something we do every year. It's a trip we make every year. Power Grip Primer. Okay. But anyways, like I was saying, this is a trip that we make every single year. And I've only been with my girlfriend like 2 years, so this is the second time that I've made this trip with her. But I sleep most of the drive, okay? So I was asleep for most of the drive. We left from Georgia, and then I wake up in around Kentucky, Indiana kind of area. So I wake up in Kentucky, okay? We drive further into, you know, Indiana. We're in Indianapolis at this point. And we decide, hey, the car needs gas, we gotta pee, I kind of need a drink, so we're gonna find a gas station, right? So we go to get off the highway, and we're going down this road that was apparently construction. We didn't know it was construction. Halo Glow Foundation. Anyways, it's construction. We didn't know it was construction, and my wife, I don't think, seen the cop sitting there. So, I mean, she just kind of kept it going. It's not like she was going super fast either. It was 60. Like, the speed limit in that zone was 60, and she was going, I think, like 70, 71, something like that. So, like, barely 10 over. Which, yeah, you know, you can get pulled for that. Rightfully so. But listen to this next part. He pulls us over, okay? He walks up to the window, and he's like, hey, I pulled y'all for speeding. You know, that was a construction zone. Did you not see it? Da-da-da-da-da. She was like, oh my goodness, I didn't know. How fast was I going? He said you were going about 70. And we were like, oh, okay, you know, we didn't know, whatever. And he's like, do you have anything illegal in the car? We're like, no. And he's like, okay, well, I'll be right back. And then he asked for her license and everything like that. He's like, okay, well, I'll be right back. You know, I assume he's just running her license and looking at everything. And then another cop car pulls up. We're like, hold the hell on. Another cop car pulls up. And then we're sitting there for another minute. And about maybe 2 or 3 minutes go by. And another cop car pulls up. So there's 3 cop cars behind us at this point. And apparently we were just stopped for speeding. So I'm confused, and then him asking us if we had anything illegal in the car really threw me off. Because if you don't know me in real life, I be gardening, okay? Real bad. Okay, so I'm shaking in my boots because obviously I live in Georgia. It is not legal in Georgia. And I wasn't sure if it was legal in Indiana either. So I was just a little like shaking in my boots. And obviously I told him we didn't have anything illegal in the car. I'm not going to tell him myself. You know, like I said, those 3 cop cars were sitting behind us. I'm shaking in my boots, okay? K9 unit comes out. We're like, Ace Born This Way concealer, shade Sugar, I believe. Yep. So K9 unit comes out. And mind you, they didn't say nothing to us about no K9 unit, okay? They didn't. Literally nothing. They just walked up to the car and they were like, hey, can you roll up your windows? We were like, sure. So we roll up the windows and then we see the K9 unit. There is like maybe 3 or 4 G's in the car, so I'm literally shaking in my boots. I'm like, okay, this dog's gonna bark, we're going to jail, like, we're fucked, you know? He walked around the whole car and didn't bark not once. I was like, I said, thank you, Jesus. These K9 units even came out. These cops asked us like 4 or 5 times where we were going and where we were coming from. And when we told them we were going to Michigan, he asked which part. And we told him, I think it was Allendale or something like that, because that's where her mama's at. And he was like, are you sure you're not going here? And it was some like hole in the wall little like town in Michigan. And mind you, I told this man, I'm from Georgia, okay? I don't know. He's asking me the questions. I'm like, ask her. I don't know. Okay, she's from here, not me. He was like, are you going to Rothbury? He asked if we were going to Rothbury, and I was like, where is that at? Like, I don't know where that's at. And my wife was like, I don't know where that's at either. And he was like, oh, okay, well, just making sure. And he asked us that question like twice. He asked us about Rothbury like twice. Sat there, he was talking to us about our tattoos and everything. It was very, very confusing because why are you sitting here being friends with me but also interrogating me about where I'm going when I told you where I was going? Bronzer. So like I said, he asked us about it twice and then was sitting there talking to us. I'm like, okay, whatever. And then he ends up walking away again, and he walks and he's like talking to the cops that are over there, whatever. And mind you, this is after the K9 walked around the car. So he goes over there, he's talking to him for a second, and then comes back over to the car and asks us if he can search the car. Real quick, this is what I use for my eyebrows. It's the e.l.f. brow laminating gel. So he asked us if he can search the car. And when he asked us, he told us, he was like, you are in full rights to say no. Like, you don't have to let us search your car. You're not going to get in trouble or anything like that. And because I'm not a dumbass and there is ganja in my car, I'm like, no. And we just so happened to pull over right next to the gas station that we were trying to get to. So I'm looking at this gas station knowing I have to piss, knowing if I stand up and get out of this car so he can search it, I will piss myself. So no, for multiple reasons, you cannot search this vehicle, sir. I need to use the restroom, please and thank you. At this point, we've been on the road 4 or 5 hours, okay? The car needs gas, we need to pee, I'm hungry, all the things. I'm using for blush, CoverGirl Skin Enhancer. True Blend Skin Enhancer. It's the shade Nude Flush. Rub this in with my finger because it just works the best. Anyways, we tell him no, okay? We were like, no, like, we've got all this stuff in the car and we're gonna have to repack it all and you're gonna have to go through it all and we really gotta piss and the car's almost out of gas as it is, like, no. Mention the 4 or 5 G's I got in my backseat. I'm good. I use for bronzer, contour, whatever you want to call it. It's the powder one. It's the Physicians Formula Bronze Booster. No. He's like, okay, you know, no biggie, whatever. Walks back over to the cop. One of the other cops that's over there. And he stays over there for a good little second. And I'm just kind of like, you know, sitting there shaking like a leaf. And mind you, during all of this, I'm in the middle of doing my mascara. Okay, these cops are talking to me and I'm looking in the mirror doing my mascara in the passenger seat of my wife's car. My mascara, putting my lip gloss on, all while this was going on. He goes over and talks to the other cop, and then he comes back and he's just talking to us again. I'm like, the helly? So sitting there talking, whatever, like shooting the shit, talking about our tattoos and things like that. Their officer had walked on the other side of the car, walked to my girlfriend's side of the car because he kept coming to my side. So the other officer walked to my girlfriend's side of the car and gave her a warning. For sure that he was going to write her a ticket, that we were going to have to go to court or something like that. Nope, he wrote her a freaking warning and told her to slow down. Powder blush, I use the NYX Buttermelt blush or whatever, I don't know. Anyways, so he writes us off with a warning, right? And then, you know, we go on about our business. We're like, okay, so we pull up to the gas station that we were literally not even 10 feet from. So pull into the gas station, and when we pull in, we sit there and we look at the warning that he gave us, looking at like all the information and stuff like that. And it turns out he didn't even have his radar on to be checking to see if she was speeding. The warning paper where it states where he should have clocked her, where the speed would have been at, the letters that were under there were in A. It means that he didn't even have his little gun on to be checking how fast she was going to see, you know, her speed. Pulled her for visual speeding. He thought he visually seen her speeding. For context, my girlfriend drives a 2023 Dodge Challenger. Okay, of course you thought she was speeding, asshole. Highlighter, this is a very, very old, crusty Milani palette that I used in high school, but she still gets love, so. They let us off with a warning, right? And like I said, we pulled into the gas station. And when we pulled into the gas station, like I said, we sat there and we looked at the paper, okay? When we got done looking at the paper, we went to get out of the car, obviously, to go use the bathroom and get gas and things like that. We look over, and one of the cops that pulled us over followed us into the freaking parking lot of the gas station and was sitting there watching us. He sat there the whole time too. He did not move, okay? Like, he stayed there until we pulled off. I'm realizing I got this far into my makeup and completely forgot to do my loose powder. It's fine, I'm still gonna do it because I'll be damned if I look greasy. I used the Airspun loose powder from Walmart and I just put it under my eyes and like under here and on my chin. Just anywhere where I get greasy or shiny where I don't want to be. You know? After I'm done, I literally just wipe it all off. I let it set for like a few seconds and then just wipe her all off. For eyeshadow, I just take a little bit more of this and you see the difference, it makes a difference. And setting spray, and then I'll do my lashes. The mascara I use, it's got lash serum in it because it's the same brand as my lash serum. I love her, she's amazing. Mascara is done and I'm gonna line my lips with Nude Beige in NYX. I mean, that's pretty much it and that's all. If you're from Indiana or you live in Indiana, let me know if that's normal or cops are just always like that. I swear that man thought that we were pulling drugs through the country. Like, no sir, I'm just trying to go see my wife's family. That's it, that's all. Makeup is done. I will see y'all later. Mwah.
We've hired our wedding planner 85 days before our wedding. We have 83 or 84 days left now, so wish us luck. But unfortunately, we just had a bad experience and ended up having to make a decision that was best for us. I did not expect so many people to care or wonder why, but I'll just try to be brief with it and keep it as short as possible. We actually hired her last October, so she has been with us for a minute. We hired her October 2025. She's been with us for 7 or 8 months, however long, and unfortunately we just have not had a good experience overall. We did an intro call with her. She was very nice. She was very competent during the call, and she's actually the in-house coordinator for the venue across the street from our venue. The venue she is the in-house coordinator at is a smaller DIY venue, so I assume she was very good at day of coordination, and then just every now and then did partial planning. So maybe that was our mistake in thinking that that was a normal offering by her, but she did have a package for it. So the partial planning included vendor referrals, vendor management, wedding design consultation, and communication frequently, just all kinds of things that you may need help with in addition to day of coordination. So we opted for the partial planning. We put half of her total down, which wasn't bad. It wasn't an out of the ballpark or anything. It was pretty normal for what we had been quoted. She was actually recommended by the city we're getting married in, which is so funny, but she wanted to do a site walkthrough at the venue sorry, I had to sneeze, so I stopped it. But she wanted to do a site visit at the venue, so we did one in November. We did an hour-long walkthrough, and I really should have caught on then that this was not going to go as planned because she did not take notes the entire time we did it. We did the 1 hour walkthrough. For the hour, we kind of talked about what we envisioned for our day, the inspiration, and kind of the things that were most important to us. So at that walkthrough, she did not take any notes, but she did tell us that she would be getting over the vendors that we still needed. She'd get over referrals for them, which were a DJ, a shuttle, and then possibly some caterers that she had just worked with. She also was going to get us over she said 94 or 95, I don't remember since it's already June now, but she said it was a large planning document. It had a timeline example in it and things that had all tips and tricks and everything that we may need. So we were very excited for that, and we did not get it. She never sent it over after the venue visit, and we actually did not hear from her again until April. So come February, at that point, I had already found a DJ and shuttle, without getting any referrals from her as promised. But we had already booked what we needed, and at that point, it was just a waiting game. I wanted to see how long it was going to take her to reach out because I am very type A. Everything was already done. Everything was booked. I wasn't stressed about anything. But she wasn't checking in, which was an issue because, again, we did have to pay half up front to cover any services that you provided up until wedding day. So what was the money for then? Why didn't we just do the day of coordination package? She finally reached out April 1st. She sent an email late at night asking when we could do a call that month. She wanted to do a planning call in April. I responded April 2nd, letting her know our availability. We were good with any time, and if none of those worked, we would make whatever time she had work. She did not respond. I'm a very literal person. If you say it, I'm going to hold you to it. Come April 30th, the last day of the month, I emailed her. I said, hey, it's the end of April. We have not heard from you regarding the call you wanted to do this month. When are you available for this call? She responds May 7th. Again, 7 days after I emailed her then, but 37 days after her initial email to me. She emailed saying that she had been out of town, so she is catching up and we could do a call. So she sent me her availability. We did the call on May 19th. It was supposed to be a 30-minute planning call. The entire call was us relaying all of the vendors that we had booked, all of the inspiration and everything. And it really wasn't a planning call. She kept asking us what we needed to rent from her for the wedding, if we needed chargers or if we needed linens or if we needed anything else that she has to rent. We let her know that we did not. Our caterer was going to be providing our linens, and she also gave us some pushback for how we wanted to do our seating chart and our tables and everything. She was very upfront and blunt that she did not like assigned seats, and she didn't think that we would do it because it might ruin the vibe. I let her know that our caterer required it. She actually, during this call, mixed all of our details up with another bride, so it took a little bit longer to do the call because when she opened the document at the beginning of the call, all of the details were for the other bride named Mary. They were not our wedding details. So she had to delete all of that and start over and add our details in. She said that she was going to work on the document for the rest of that night and get it over to us so we could work on it as well, adding inspo pics, things like that, adding anything that was important to us in the timeline. And we did not get it. So I emailed on May 27th. Again, the call was May 19th. I emailed May 27th asking for the document, letting her know we had not received it yet. She sends it over without saying anything. There is nothing in the document except for what she had taken down during that phone call. She had not worked on it at all. She hadn't even finished most of the notes that she was writing during the call. And there were still details from the other bride named Mary, I'm assuming. So I took all of those out. I added the stuff that was important for us. And we kind of just went from there. I had my bachelorette about 2 weeks after that, and I came back, and the Monday after I returned, she sent me an email asking why we had not paid the invoice yet. She had invoiced us for the linens that we wanted to get from her, and if we did not need them, to just let her know she would take the invoice off. I replied letting her know that during the call on May 19th, we discussed the linens and we told her that we were already getting those from our caterer, so we did not need them from her. I also let her know that I did not see an invoice on our portal because I usually got an email, but I checked the portal and there was no invoice. She responded that she had mixed it up with the other bride named Mary again, which
at that point it's just irritating, because when you notice that you mixed it up the first time, she could have changed it to my last name, my fiance's name, my fiance's last name, our wedding day, the venue, anything else that would have distinguished the two, but she did not. So that email was intended for the other Mary who needs linens, but not us. She also added, when are y'all available for a call so we can finish out the rest of these plans? I did not want to do that at that point. My fiance and I had a long discussion of what would it look like if she continued and if she was indeed the one running our day. Again, we're having 3 days worth of events, so I want everything going as smooth as possible and nothing coming up last minute that just shouldn't have and should have been planned for. And ultimately, we ended up having to let her go. I did send her an email kind of putting all that into detail, just why we felt that it was not the best to continue with her and that we did not feel that we were a priority at all, especially confusing us with another bride. She did make a few excuses, just I had a very busy spring and I had some emergencies pop up. But again, communication would have solved everything. Going 5+ months without communicating at all, because again, we did not hear from her after the visit in November until April 1st. So going that long without communicating to us at all is just crazy when we're paying you for these services. And oh, there's our cat. But I never replied, but she did. I did tell her that we wanted a refund of our deposit because the contracted services were not being provided as promised. She did refund us our money, and we have since located a planner or a day of coordinator that we trust, since the planning is already done. But we have booked a new day of coordinator, and we are very confident in her. We were a little bit more in depth in the call of what we expected, but I hope it is a good experience. But that's kind of it.
I need you to listen to this. I don't know if someone can help decode this for me or what the freak, because I don't know what's going on, okay? So I'm going to backtrack to tell you guys a little story, and I think I told a little bit of this story like a year or two ago. Anyways, okay, so me and this girl, I was about 5 or 6 at the time, and she was 8 or 9. We lived in the same neighborhood, and I would always go over to her house to play with her and her little sister, right? Eventually I moved away. Boom, never spoke to each other again. I have no recollection of that memory at all, of me playing with her at all, okay? And then time passes, and I'm 18 at the time, and it's the year 2020. We bump into each other at this house party thing, and she's like, wait, I know you. And I'm like, you do? She's like, you're Brandy, right? And I'm like, yeah. She's like, oh my gosh, I knew you. We used to live in the same neighborhood, blah, blah, blah. I didn't remember her, but I think it was because I was just so young at the time. Anyways, we ended up exchanging Snapchats. And when I tell you, we started having the weirdest coincidences. Like, when I tell you weirdest coincidences, I mean weirdest coincidences, okay? I'm gonna give you a few examples. One morning, I woke up and I really wanted to put this type of spice on my eggs. I can't remember exactly what type of spice it was, right? I go in the kitchen, I whip up some eggs with sausage, and I put this spice on my eggs. I didn't post it, never posted it, I just ate my breakfast. Tell me why. Like, an hour later, she posted on her Snapchat story saying something like, oh, trying something new this morning. And it was sausage with eggs, and there was some type of spice on it. Yeah. And obviously, I didn't think much of it. I was like, oh, well, it's just a weird coincidence. But then they just started getting weirder, okay? Like, for example, I specifically put 2 pigtail braid things in my hair, and I braided them in a very specific way. Like, I took 3 braids and I braided it all together on both sides. Tell me why this same day she posted that on her Snapchat story. Yeah. Once again, I never posted anything, but she posted it. So it's not even on some copycat type of shit. You know what I'm saying? Like, and she's the type of person that posts everything on her Snapchat story. So I was getting her whole life. So she posted a lot. And I was like, what the? I was like kind of shocked. I was like, okay, that's weird. One day I remember I was in someone's garage and there was a black kitten on my neck and I was petting it. I was like, oh, hi, baby. And I took a video of it, but I never posted it. Tell me why. Like, I remember these so specifically. Like, 4 or 5 hours later, She posts herself in a gem shop with a little black kitten on the back of her shoulder. Yes. Like, I'm telling you, these started happening, I swear, like a few times a week, where I started having to show people that like, this is no weird type of shit. I was like, look at what she posted. Like, it was just so bizarre. When I tell you, these type of things just kept happening and happening and happening, like, all the time. One day I was eating cherry tomatoes out of our garden. The exact same day, she posts herself in her garden specifically talking about tomatoes and how good they are. Like, I can't make this up. Like, I'm pretty sure you guys get the point now. Weird coincidences. I wasn't posting anything, but she was posting everything. Started lining up. There was no copycat type of thing. Like, it was just so bizarre. And then a few years later, I think it was like 2023, it kind of stopped. Like, I didn't notice it anymore, and I was like, okay, that's cool. And I basically forgot about it, right? Tell me why. And once again, me and this girl have no connection, okay? I never have had a conversation with this girl, okay? I've never had a conversation. I sound so crazy. Okay, tell me why she has now been popping up on my For You page. Just as like a regular person. This has been happening for about a couple months now, and it happens about twice a week, to be exact. I kid you not. And I am making this video right now because it just happened. And I want to also add in the fact that it's not, like, on the bottom, you know how it sometimes pops up as like, oh, someone in your contacts, oh, someone you may know, oh, suggested, blah, blah, blah. There's none of that. There has never one time been any of that. And I have never seen someone pop up on my Snapchat, like, on my For You page. This girl pops up frequently. She literally pops up frequently, okay? I just got back from a trip to Denver about, I don't know, I think it's been a week or so. And on the way back, I was so paranoid because I kept losing track of my ID, and I was like, oh my gosh, like, I had to keep checking my wallet to make sure that my ID was still there, and thankfully it was, because I kept losing track of it. I kept accidentally leaving it places, and I was like, oh my gosh, this is so stressful. Tell me why. I literally just see on her For You page, like, 10 minutes ago, she was talking about how good her intuition is, and how she was able to find her lost ID because she kept losing it. I don't know what to do. Smile and wave, because it's like, dude, like, I just want to tell her, but could you imagine? She'd be like, this girl is, what the freak? Like, she'd be like, how do you know all this stuff about me? She would think I'm a weirdo, honestly, for looking at her stuff, which I don't blame her. I would probably too, if someone's like, hey, this has been happening for years. I would be like, you know what I'm saying? But I've just noticed it, and she's been popping up on my For You page so randomly. Like, there's no correlation with this girl. Like, are me and her supposed to connect in some type of way? Are we just, like, are our souls naturally just close to each other? Like, I don't know. I'm trying to figure it out. I'm trying to put the pieces together, because I feel like I'm going crazy. Like, what? What do you mean? What do you mean, dude? Oh my gosh. Literally, okay, like, a few days before I went to Denver, I got a few bras, because I'm like, a girl needs some new bras, right? I go to Ross. I get new bras, okay? I come home with bras, okay? I try them on. They are too small, and they sadly wouldn't let me return them. Anyways, to make a long story short, like, a day later, she went to freaking Ross and did a haul, like, with bras. Dude, I cannot make this up. And this was on my For You page from her. And this happened like a couple weeks ago. There has to be something. Like, I feel crazy telling this story, but it's like,
it's driving me insane. Like, I'm wondering what it's gonna be in a few days. Like, what's gonna happen in a few days, you know? Because I'm just waiting for it, because it's gonna happen. I'm like, oh my gosh.
Story time about how the guy that I liked in sophomore year almost killed me. Okay, so this happened, I think, the fall of sophomore year. I'm currently about to finish my junior year, and I actually do not talk to this guy at all anymore. I haven't talked to him for like over a year, and it's good that way. But I'm sure he'll see this, and I'm sure his friends will see this because they are always like on my page in my profile views. So okay, so basically this started, it was a B day. I remember because I had AP World with him, and I would only like that class because I had it with him. But we were coming out of AP World, and I had asked him to carry something for me, I guess. And so he was giving it back to me when we sat on the bus. And we didn't sit on the bus together normally. Like, he had his own friends that he sat on the bus with. And I just, low-key, like, didn't really talk on the bus because I didn't really like the bus. And so we sat down. So, like, we were sitting, we were talking. And I guess this girl next to him, like, I guess if he sat here with his friends, there was this girl that's sitting, like, right across from them, and then there was me in the front seat, so we were all kind of, like, turned in a circle, and we were all talking to each other, and she asked him for if he had gum, and he was like, oh, I have mints, so he pulled out the mints. So, I don't remember if he offered me a piece or if I asked for it, but basically, I took a piece of, like, I took a mint. I think he offered it to me because I don't remember asking him for anything other than gum, but I took a mint and I ate it, and literally not even 5 seconds later, I was like, couldn't breathe, choking. It feels like my windpipe was like completely like crushed. And so after surveillance, I was trying to get his attention, but he just was not fucking listening to me. He was like so preoccupied talking to his friend and this other girl that I just like managed to just like grab the little mint tin out of his backpack, like it was on the side, like where a water bottle stays, and I read it and it said peppermint Altoids, and so I immediately knew that I was gonna have a allergic reaction because I am like severely allergic to peppermints, but I also haven't had this allergy like spike up in like multiple years. Like, you know what I'm saying? Like I'm very good about staying away from my allergens, and just like a momentary lapse in judgment, and I couldn't realize, and he wasn't really paying attention. Like I told him and he was like, oh, okay, like I think he thought it was a joke. And for like the first like 7 minutes he was just like, yeah, like, oops, what can I do? 7 minutes in, he was like, oh, maybe she's like not like, it's not funny anymore, and she's like actually like dying. And so he finally starts paying attention, also because his friend was on the bus. Like, he didn't really care, I don't think, but then I think he realized, because I like genuinely couldn't breathe and I was like starting to cry, and I literally thought that I was gonna die, so I told him to text my best friend that I love her. I thought I was dying. Like, I couldn't breathe. My hands were so cold, which happens when blood doesn't get to your fingers or, like, your extremities. And so, like, he was holding my hand the entire time to make sure, like, I didn't, like, freeze to death. And all while he's asking me, should I call your mom? Should I call the ambulance? I was like, I'm the one dying. Can't you make these executive decisions, like, on the spot? And he just, like, eventually ended up calling my mom, which he already had her number. So it, like, kind of worked out, like, well in that sense. And so he got her on the phone, like, to tell her, like, what was happening. And yeah, I actually hated my eye makeup, so I'm gonna do it again. But anyway, we got off the bus, and I barely, like, could walk. Like, I wasn't able to walk. I just didn't have enough oxygen in my system. Like, I wasn't getting air. And so he, like, I was practically, like, hanging on to him for dear life, trying to walk, like, 5 feet, because I just, like, couldn't stand up. And eventually I just sat down on the freaking, like, pavement, and I was just like, call my mom, like, that's it, like, I'm not gonna make it to the house. So then my mom came, like, she, like, walked to the side of the pavement where, like, the bus stop was, and, like, she was like mad, like, you can tell, because, like, I don't really make mistakes like that where I don't, like, I know exactly what I'm supposed to be able to eat and not, and, like, it was just, like, a momentary lapse in judgment in both of our parts, and so, like, he was like, I'm so sorry, but I wasn't really caring for his apology, like, at that point in time. I was just more worried about, like, staying alive. And so went home, took a EpiPen, like, shot, and everything turned out to be okay because I'm still alive and currently filming this. But I never blamed him for it. I still never will blame him for it. It wasn't really his fault.
And like in a situation of like a 16-year-old with like a person that's like dying, I think he did like whatever it was he possibly could. So proud of him for that. I don't look at him the same way these days, so I don't really have much to say on it anymore. But I know like before I was like, I never blamed any of it on him. And I hope if he ever sees this, he never feels bad about it, because like it wasn't his fault. But yeah, that's the story.
Okay, so I am going to do a long-awaited story time for this video right here. I'm going to do my makeup while I do it. I'm bored, and I feel like I'm finally ready to talk about it without bashing the person. When I talk about this situation, I slightly mean it with some hard feelings, but mostly I don't. As like, I'm just basically explaining my side of the story, and like what happened to me personally during this time period, and to like explain it a little bit more. So for a little bit of background, I moved to a college 3.5 hours from where I'm originally from, and while I moved, it just kind of like I knew who my roommates were gonna be before like I moved in, because like you get your rooming assignment and whatever. And at first I was like super duper excited. We made group chats, we talked, and the way that our dorms are set up is it was a 4-person, 2-bedroom, 2-bath, and then it has like a fully furnished kitchen and living room. Well, from what I can explain, basically, before we moved in, we made a group chat, we all talked, you know, we were super excited to meet one another, super excited to, like, get to know one another, live together, you know, whatever. The other 2 roommates I didn't have as much of a problem with. Like, the most I can tell you is that, like, they didn't clean up after themselves, which really irritated me, because, like, you're paying so much money, and I'm paying so much money, and, like, you're grown, older than I am, actually, and you don't know how to clean up after yourself at your grown age, whatever. I let it slide, basically. Like, I didn't move out because of the other 2, I moved out specifically because of the girl I was roomed with. Let's call her Kayla. So, when I had initially moved in, like, I was super close with her, got all of her socials, whatever, you know, and we had made a list, our parents met one another, you know, move-in was great. The other 2 had already been moved in at that point, so they had already had their room all set up, and then they had taken up most of the space in the kitchen and the living room, so, like, we made do with what space we were given. It was just a little complicated sometimes. Okay, so the first night that we had moved in, Kayla was talking to this guy, had been talking to this guy for like 5 months, I think she said it was. And, so like, me being me, like, I don't want to make people uncomfortable, you know, like, I want to be able to, like, allow people to be themselves, you know, whatever, and I want to give them the utmost respect, as long as I get the same, you know. So, like, she asked if the guy could come over, first night of us moving in, and I was like, you know what, fine, you know, like, I'm new to the area, it's not a big deal, you know, whatever. Well, so this guy comes over, he's fine, like, they just hang out on her bed, whatever, not a big deal, he's cool. Well, the second night we were there, I had downloaded, like, all of the dating apps, you know, whatever, which is where I met my current boyfriend. Love that. And even though she was talking to this guy and had been for 5 months, like, she wasn't ready to commit quite yet. Or, she was at one point, and then he wasn't, and then she wasn't, and now he was. It was a whole messed up thing. So, you know, like, she gets on the dating apps with me. That should have been my first red flag, you know. I just, like, didn't think about it then, you know. I typically don't think about red flags until, like, after the situation, like, after they wronged me. But, like, I was like, why are you getting on the dating apps? You know, like, I was single for, like, 10 months, so, like, it made sense for me, you know, but it didn't make sense for her because she was in that talking stage. Well, we proceed on like normal, you know, like we become really, really close, you know, because like we're all each other has, sort of. Like, her family was a lot closer than mine was. Her family was like 40 minutes, and again, mine was 3.5 hours. Well, you know, her family take me under her wing, or under their wings, whatever. It's fine. We get along relatively well at the beginning. About a month in, after classes had started, you know, everything starts going downhill. Essentially, like, she just showed her true colors. Well, at some point within the first month or so, she stops talking to the guy that she was talking to when we first met. And she starts talking to, I think, 4 guys online, and then 3 in person, or like half in person, half online, like she was meeting up with them. Essentially just trying to, like, I guess keep her options open, which to me, I'm like, I can only pay attention to one person, but you do you, boo. So there was this one instance where she brings in a guy that, like, she had known for less than 24 hours on her Snapchat. Immediately my flags are up. Like, she texts me and she's like, hey, what are you cooking? Because, like, you know, we utilize the kitchen and I like cooking. It's like my love language. And I'm like, well, I'm just gonna make this pasta. Whatever. So he comes over, and immediately my red flags are up. I'm on high alert. I don't like this guy because the first comment that this guy made to me was very inappropriate in my opinion, and he was talking to me way too much to be there for her, if I'm honest. So, you know, whatever. I let it slide. You know, again, just trying to keep the peace, you know, keep everything comfortable, make sure everybody's enjoying themselves, whatever. You could say I'm a pushover. But basically, you know, at some point throughout the night, mind you, again, she knew this guy less than 24 hours. Her and this guy go out of our shared room and they go into our shared bathroom. So our bathroom was outside of our room, whereas the other roommates had their bathroom inside of the room. It's a weird setup. At this point, I was already uncomfortable, and, like, I was talking to my now boyfriend, then talking stage, you know, and I was like, hey, like, I'm super uncomfortable, like, and I don't know what to do. And they just went to the bathroom. So her, again, only knowing this guy less than 24 hours, like, already threw me off, like, already had me messed up, basically. Well, essentially, they go in the bathroom, and they're in there for a solid, like, 30 minutes, just doing whatever they were doing, 30 plus minutes if I'm honest. I'm already back in our room at that point, you know, because, like, I'm just on my bed trying not to freak out, you know, trying to calm my nerves, essentially. And, it's like, we ate really late that evening, and I think it was a Thursday, and all of our classes, like, nobody has classes on Friday unless, like, you're a nursing student. And, like, you know what? You do you, boo. Could have asked me to leave. I don't give a damn. But, so, like, obviously I get uncomfortable because you've known this guy less than 24 hours and you've invited him into our space and now you're in the bathroom with him, knowing him less than 24 hours. So to me, that was, like, really sketch. I don't know about y'all, but not my cup of tea. Again. And basically, I let it go for the night, except for, like, I'm, like, internally freaking out. Like, I don't even want to know what they're doing in that damn bathroom. Whatever. Well, they eventually come out, and then, like, he lays in her bed until, like, 2 in the morning, because, again, I'm uncomfortable, so I'm not going to sleep anytime soon. Like, there was no way possible you were getting my ass to sleep while he was in my dorm. Well, eventually, he leaves. Something about he gets in trouble for being late for whatever curfew his parents set for him. Mind you, he's older than I am, so is she. I am so sorry. I had to make a part 2. That video wasn't quite long enough. So this is part 2 to my previous storytime video that I had posted about my roommate Kayla, you know, whatever. So continuing on, this isn't the first time this guy comes over. Basically, he comes over one more time. Like, mind you, she was talking to him and like 4 other guys, whatever at the time. I was astonished, trust me. He comes over once more. And again, he looked at her. I remember this so vividly because I was disgusted by the nerve of the man. He looks at her and he's like, oh yeah, since I'm taking you to the movies, because they went to go watch the new Demon Slayer movie when it had come out. He was like, well, since I'm taking you to the movies, you have to do my homework. He had went to a different branch of the campus, or the school that I go to, so his was farther away. And she looks at him and she goes, what? I was like, who are you talking to, bro? She's like, what kind of homework? And he's like, psychology. She looks at me, because I'm a psychology major, if you didn't know. I'm not doing that man's homework. I don't like him. Get him away from me. So, like, they decide that they wanted to go to the latest showing of this movie possible. And I'm like, you've got to be kidding me. Like, please. Please. But she also brings her food. Side note, like, it doesn't matter. Like, I don't care. Whatever. Well, I'm like, get out of here. Like, leave, please. So eventually they wind up actually leaving and, you know, going to watch the movie after eating finally at like 8:30, 9 o'clock. Well, my little avoidant ass decides that I want to go to bed because I don't want to deal with them, like, when they come back. Couple hours pass by. It's like, I don't know, midnight roughly at this point. They come back. They wake me up. But at the same time, I do sleep really, really lightly. Like, I'm a light sleeper. I can wake up to the sound of a pin dropping. It's annoying. They're trying to be quiet. I wake up. They yap to me for a second. You know, whatever. I don't care. Not listening. So after like 20 minutes of them being in the room, you know, talking or whatever, they go in the bathroom again for a second night in a row. They're again in the bathroom for 30 plus minutes. Again, not my business. I don't want to know. Disgusting. Hate it. Whatever. So they come out of the bathroom, whatever. It's like 2 a.m. again because we just don't care. Mind you, it's the weekend at that point for us. So, like, it's whatever. Well, it's like 2 in the morning. And after he had left the first time, I forgot to put this in there earlier. After he had left the first time, I talked to her and I was like, hey, like, I'm not comfortable with him being here. Like, I didn't like the comment he made. She was like, oh, like, I understand. Like, I'll let you know, like, if, like, plans change next time, whatever. She, in fact, does not let me know if plans change. Because guess what happens? He stays the night. Sleeps in her bed. At that point, I'm pissed off. Like, first off, y'all woke me up. Not your fault, but, like, it is your fault. Secondly, he's staying the night, and I'm not getting told. You're not telling me anything. Just, like, left in the dark, basically. Well, the next morning, she goes home for the weekend. The weekend. So, like, she's going to church and whatever. Mind you, this girl's a Christian. Hardcore Christian. Like, I'm talking all the time, going to church. Not saying nothing, but, like, girl, get a grip. He stays in her bed until 10:30 in the morning. I wake up around, like, 8:30 or so after I finally fell asleep. And I stayed in my bed and acted like I was asleep until 10:30 because I'm so unfucking comfortable with this man being in my dorm. Like, what are you doing? Get a grip. Well, she texts me later on that day, you know, after I'm already infuriated, you know, pissed all the way off. And she's like, I'm so sorry. I didn't know plans were gonna change. It kind of happened last minute. And I was like, you could have woke him up. Like, what was that? This bitch tells me that she tried to wake him up. Clearly not hard enough. I'd have kicked him right out. Because I'm not sitting here leaving you in a room with a guy that you don't know. Please. So, whatever. Eventually, this guy was supposedly some sort of model. And I look at her and I'm like, how many bitches do you think he got? And she's like, what? And I'm like, how many bitches do you think he got? That low-key gave her a reality check. She was like, oh. Like, that's why he doesn't answer me all the time, you know, and, like, he hangs out with me, like, once a week, right? And I was like, probably. Honestly, probably. So, you know, she winds up blocking him. Hallelujah, frankly. Like, thank the Lord Jesus above, and I don't believe in him. Whatever. And then the other, like, 5 people, like, most of the nights she's just on the phone with them. But there's this one particular person, which I am still friends with this person, so, like, I'm not gonna dog on them. They're such a sweetheart. Well, this one particular person, they're in, like, the same class together or something, or, like, they have the same major. She meets them on a dating app. Whatever. Again, this person is so sweet. No hate to this person. I love them so, so very much. You know, whatever. So they start walking to class together or something of that sort. Honestly, not my business, again. And they start inviting them around. And I'm like, how am I supposed to keep up with, like, 2 different people and, like, 4 different conversations? So I was, like, low-key stressing. Because, like, what do you mean you're on the phone with, like, 5 different guys every night? And you got, like, 2 people coming in our dorm in person. Which that person lived on campus, too. The second person did. So it was a little easier. Well, at some point after she stops talking to the supposed model, she decides that she wants to block every other person that she's talking to and then try to go after the person that I'm friends with now. We're going to call them Molly. Well, Molly, friend zones them. They're so upset about it. You know, whatever. Again, this is from my perspective. If they ever find this video, they can decide to clear things up. They don't have to. I'm protecting their privacy again. But they friend zone her. She gets sad. So what's her solution? Another guy! Oh my gosh, you guessed it right. Well, eventually, she's on FaceTime with this guy every single night for 2 weeks straight. I'm talking all of the time. Shitting, showering, shaving, all on the phone. So again, I'm irritated because why are you on the phone all of the time? This guy starts putting in his 2 cents to me and I'm like, who are you talking to? Like, please, you're not here for me, you're here for her. So it's honestly whatever. They talk for like, I don't know, 2 weeks. Mind you, all this has happened in the span of the first month of us being on campus. Within the first month, I had finally went on my first date with my boyfriend after talking to him for a little while. And me and my boyfriend talked for well over a month before we got together. She talked to this guy for 2 weeks. Goes over to his house, meets his parents, and that night they declare they're together. Okay, cool. Happy for you. Finally fucking settled down. Well, I thought it was great. Oh, how I couldn't have been more wrong. Essentially, they start dating at this point, and, like, everything is fine at first, except this man becomes very annoying very, very fast. Like, I'm talking I was severely annoyed real quick. And it takes a lot for me to get annoyed. Not really, but yeah. So, after they get together, he starts coming over all the time. Well, at that point, she'd only met my boyfriend, like, once or twice. And he wasn't over all of the time either. Because, like, we were busy. Mind you, while all of this is happening, she's leaving our dorm a mess. Like, not picking up after herself. Just kind of, like, disrespecting the shared space as it is a shared space. So I'm already always mad. You know, like, if you're not cleaning up after yourself, like, please, basic hygiene, please. Eventually our boyfriends meet. You know, it's fine. It's whatever. You know, not a big deal. And I'm just like, oh, okay. He was weird. Like, weird. Time goes by. She continues being such a very crappy roommate, just, like, not picking up after herself, da-da-da-da-da, you know, and her boyfriend is just, again, really, 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 really weird. And she, like, at some point, I feel like she was creating a shrine on her wall because she kept having, like, pictures of him that she printed out on her wall. And then there was this giant face of his. I'm going to call him Simon. I'm going to have to make a part 3. I am so, so sorry. Okay, so this is part 3 to the very long-awaited story time. Thank you so much if you've stuck around this far. I'm sure most of you have. But basically, Kayla and Simon continue dating, whatever. Well, when I was talking to my boyfriend, this girl would look at me and be like, don't lose your morals. Because, like, I'm obsessing over this man because, like, he's great. Like, he's truly awesome. Like, the best man I've ever been with, if I do say so myself, and I do. You know, whatever. Well, she's like, don't lose your morals, don't lose your morals. Funny for her to say. Because right before Thanksgiving break, we had, like, I was at my wit's end, basically, and I was cleaning up our room. Well, I was cleaning up our room, and we didn't put a trash bag in the, trash can. So, like, I was taking all the trash out of the trash can and putting it in a bag. Well, while this girl was telling me not to lose my morals, I found a wrapper in the trash. I knew it wasn't mine because I didn't do anything at that point in time. But, so I found one in the trash. Well, I'm livid. You know, I don't say anything to her because, like, it's not worth arguing with this girl about. Because arguing with this girl is like talking to a fucking brick wall. So the very next day, I'm cleaning the room a little bit up again, a little bit more, whatever. Because, like, we had left a bunch of cans sitting around, whatever. We're college students. Sue me. Well, I'm cleaning up all the Dr. Pepper cans, you know, whatever. And there's a Monster can on my dresser because we rearranged our room and we put our dressers together in, like, this L shape. So that way the TV could sit facing both of our beds in, like, so we could use the TV that she'd brought. Well, there's this Monster can sitting on my dresser that I didn't put there. I don't drink energy drinks because of, like, health issues, whatever. Well, this girl, oblivious to what I'm doing, basically, again, because she doesn't clean up after herself, I go dump out this can in the sink, as I'm doing with, like, the rest of them that have liquid in it. Tell me why. I find the used balloon tied off in the Monster can. I've never been so disgusted in my life. Never. I was livid, and at that point, I was like, absolutely not. Like, I'm not playing this. Well, at that point to me, I didn't make a big deal out of it. Again, I'm a pushover, we know, guys. But, because I was getting ready to go home for Thanksgiving break. And, you know, I was like, whatever. Absolutely whatever. I'm not even gonna bring it up. So, she, like, I don't confront her about it until after I get back from Thanksgiving break. She decides she doesn't want to go home for Thanksgiving break. Her sister comes over and stays. At this point, I had joined a sorority, which that's for another story time. And so, like, I had to be back, like, a couple days early for a sorority event, or, like, my pinning, I think, or whatever. Well, I come back. She's gone. Her pillow's on my bed, which my bed is still made in the way that I left it, but, like, suspicious. So I come back. Trash everywhere. I'm talking, like, 3-day-old McDonald's. Her curling iron is at my desk. Her pillow's on my bed. And I'm like, what the hell? So this just so happened to be a Sunday. And this Sunday, she was at church, like she had gone to every single other week. Well, she's at church, and then I know after church she hangs out with her boyfriend. So at some point, I go to my sorority event, it's whatever, and then I come back, it's like 9 o'clock, and I'm tired. I am tired, I'm whooped. I had a 3-hour car ride, had a sorority event, I was very tired. Had class the next day, whatever. Well, I text her and I'm like, hey, do you think, like, you can come in and, like, we could talk? She's like, okay. And I'm like, please don't be on the phone with your boyfriend. Like, I don't want the peanut gallery in our conversation, basically. She's like, okay, whatever, you know. She comes in. Guess who's with her? Her boyfriend. You've guessed it. Yay. Well, I let them sit there on her bed for like 30, 45 minutes. And at this point, it's even later, and I'm even more tired. So I'm really, really irritable. Well, at this point, I was like having so many issues with her. I was like, I can't do it. So I look at her, and I start having the conversation with her in front of her boyfriend, because I'm like, I'm done. Like, I can't. So I'm like, clean up after yourself. Like, don't leave balloons in Monster cans. Spray some air freshener after you're done, please. You know, calling her out on all of her bull crap, basically. Well, I record me having this confrontation with her for my safety, in case, like, anything had happened later on. Well, nothing had happened. In fact, they looked at me like I was, like, deer in the headlights. Eventually, December rolls around, and at this point, I was like, I seriously cannot do this anymore. Well, For unforeseen circumstances, or circumstances I'm not going to discuss myself because they are not my business, some girls from my sorority and their roommate had a bed open up for the spring. So one of the girls from my sorority, one of my now best friends, Anna, love her, bless her heart, she texted me, she's like, hey, how bad do you want to get away from that roommate of yours? And I was like, depends, like, what do you have in mind? She was like, well, this bed just opened up. We wanted to offer it to you before, like, they put anybody else in here with us. You know, like, we're comfortable with you. Like, please consider taking it. I immediately jumped on that bus. I was like, yeah, police. So I email all the correct people, you know, and, like, we get it situated. I get the room. I get to move dorms. Well, this dorm was all the way across campus. So the dorm I'm in right now is one of the ones closest to my original dorm, like the first one I was in. The other one is way across campus. Okay, cool. Well, she does not know that I'm switching dorms as per the video. So basically what happened was nothing had changed and I was tired of it. Tried talking to her, didn't get through. So like I started packing up all my crap, like super early, low-key. Like, she doesn't have a clue. She's gone all the time at this point. And there was this one day that she leaves to go do something. And I'm like, hey, are you going to be back, like, tomorrow? Because the following day was the day that I was dipping, you know? And she was like, no, I'm not going to be back until Thursday. Well, I was like, okay, cool. So I continue packing my room. Molly comes and visits me the next morning. I grab my keys. My boyfriend helps me pack all of my stuff in his car, and he helps me move across campus. Well, I block her on everything but her number. And so Kayla texts me, and she's like, girl, like, where'd you go? Like, I cleaned out the mini fridge because I brought a mini fridge, and I was like, I brought the mini fridge for her. Like, it was given to me for free, and I didn't want it. I didn't want to look it back and forth. So I was like, girl, keep the mini fridge. I literally told you it was yours. She was like, I just want to know why you blocked me on it and everything. Like, I understand you want to be with your sorority. I was like, girl, I blocked you on everything because of the way that you treated me. Like, I cannot. It was horrible. I was like, and you can't, if you cannot see any wrong in your own actions, please do some serious self-reflecting. You need it. And I wish her the best of luck for her next semester. Well, we have some current updates. As of like a month or so ago, I find out she is no longer with that guy. He wound up being very controlling, which I'm a girl's girl. I'm very glad she made it out of that situation, which I could have told you that he was controlling from the jump. I tried to. I was like, I don't like him. He's giving bad vibes. I'm glad she got out of that situation, no matter how much I do not like her. I haven't really heard much except for like that she stopped going to classes, which in the fall semester we both did. Like, we both like dropped off basically. And so like as far as I know, she stopped going to classes. I'm not even sure if she's still a student here on campus. I don't see her around. Like, it's not something I entertain. I don't care. I'm not keeping tabs on her that often, you know. Sometimes I'm just like nosy, as one is. So that is the explanation for the Irish Goodbye My Roommate video. I know that it has been a very long, almost 6 months since I posted that video, but I figured I'd finally get around to talking about it, as like I've had time to calm down, you know, and I've explained the situation 1.5 million times. Stay tuned for my next Chronicles of College. Thank you.
Story time of me getting scammed by StubHub at the Ariana Grande concert. So this is not the first time that I have actually purchased tickets from StubHub. I have purchased them before in the past, and I actually remember them being legit, sending my tickets to Ticketmaster. By the way, if you don't know how StubHub works, obviously they are just kind of like reusable selling tickets, and they'll send them to your Ticketmaster. That didn't end up happening. The tickets never transferred to my Ticketmaster whatsoever, and that was the whole entire problem of the situation. I bought the tickets in September. I thought I won the Ticketmaster war or whatever, and I just thought everything was secure with those tickets. Issue happening with the whole scalpers, they actually canceled a lot of tickets, and they even gave away some of the tickets because of that situation, because obviously Ariana Grande got upset about that, and she obviously made sure that there was no scalpers being used or whatsoever. But yeah, that's basically what happened. They also canceled my tickets in explaining that whole situation to me. And I just thought, okay, maybe I'll wait and see if they'll give me my money back, or maybe they'll issue me a new different ticket. So they do. They actually give me a whole different ticket number, a different section, a different seating area. And that was one of the things too. They didn't show me the seating area or the row, but they did tell me the section that I was in. So I just thought everything was okay. They were telling me that they issued me a new ticket number and everything like that, so I was gonna get those tickets. Well, even before the event happened, I even asked to make sure that they were real, they were legit. How will I know that they will transfer to my Ticketmaster, or on top of that, how will I know that I will receive them? Of course, they kept telling me that they were gonna update me through email and everything like that, that I for sure should get my tickets through my email. But again, I just trusted that and I just thought that would work. So the day of the event, June 26, 2026, Ariana Grande's birthday, told them, hey, today's the day when will I be able to receive my tickets? You know, we're on our way to Austin and I just want to know when I will receive them. So yeah, my cousin and I, we end up going all the way from San Antonio, Texas, all the way to Austin, Texas. And I was even trying to update them, asking when will I receive the tickets and at what timing. So I talked to StubHub asking that when I will receive the tickets. They told me at 5 o'clock. So 5 o'clock rolls around and I still hadn't received the tickets. And the doors don't open until 6:30. The performance doesn't start until 8. So we arrived there at the Moody Center with no tickets arriving on my phone. And I just thought maybe we should go talk to the people at the ticket booth and maybe they can help me out. As we're in line to go and talk to those people, there was a woman and her daughter there, and they were also having the same issues as us because we overheard the conversation that they weren't getting their tickets from StubHub and everything like that. The lady in the ticket booth was even explaining that they couldn't help her because it's a third-party act and they don't go through that. They only go through Ticketmaster. So of course my cousin and I, we get out of line because there's no way they're going to help us out if they didn't help them out. And yeah, basically we ended up talking to them and we were even explaining the situation to them too. Like, hey, we're also having trouble too with our Ticketmaster, and just talking to them and seeing if we can help each other out. And yeah, so we were talking with them, and not only that, we were like sitting by this like little bench by the shade, and I was like, okay, we're gonna figure out some way how to get like the tickets to, you know, show up in my phone or something. As I'm on the phone with them, because I'm trying to do text messaging, my cousin calls them like one of the contact servers. At this point, I'm already overwhelmed and I don't know what to do at this point. We're trying to figure out how to contact StubHub into getting our tickets into our Ticketmaster. So I'm on my phone trying to text them, and my cousin's on the phone talking to the one of the representatives or whatever. And apparently the representative lady was explaining to my cousin that they actually gave away my ticket. That because apparently I had canceled them, that they gave away my ticket from the beginning of it. And I explained to them, no, I was issued a new ticket, and on top of that, you explained that I was going to be able to go to this concert, because they kept updating me about it and telling me about it, and yet I'm at the concert and everything, and they didn't tell me that they gave away my ticket. And as we're dealing with this situation, we're talking to the people, you're trying to figure out some type of way. There was other people that were coming up and talking to us, and like I can tell that they were like being concerned for our tickets. So yeah, there was other people that were waiting for tickets in box office, and then there was people that were having problems as well from StubHub. What ends up happening is like, you know, we're looking around and people were asking us like if we're okay, and we're just like explaining the situation to them. This one girl was like, oh, you should definitely talk to security, maybe they might help you out. And we're like, okay, like we'll try, but as of right now we're just trying to figure out with StubHub right now if we can get the tickets. And you know, it was also kind of sad because like I had happened to like look up while we were going through this situation, and I see this little girl, like I want to say she looked like a preteen, but I can see her like she was so dressed up and everything like that, and I don't know what had happened, if she was also having the same thing with StubHub, but I just see this little girl crying her eyes out because she wasn't able to get inside the show. Like I understand, like I'm an adult, like I can handle myself, but this little girl's like literally crying her eyes out because she wasn't able to get in. You know, that kind of like broke my heart. So yeah, like basically what ends up happening is my cousin ended up being on hold by them, and they hung up on her, and then they ended up calling me, and they were telling me the situation about what was going on with my tickets. I told them, I was like, so I've been informed that you gave away my tickets without informing me about that. Like, why would you do that? And they were like, oh no, like because of this. And I'm like, no, you're just giving me a runaround. No matter what I was saying to StubHub was nothing but just a circle, just nothing but a circle. They kept telling me, oh, can you send us proof that it's not showing on your Ticketmaster? I sent it through my email and everything, and it was just giving me nothing but complications through that. So basically, I told the lady on the line, I was like, look, I don't understand how you can give away my tickets if at this point I'm not able to get inside the show whatsoever because you're not giving me the tickets and the concert already started. So there's no way I'm going to be able to see her today or maybe even tomorrow because this is her last show and I'm not going to be able to see her. I told StubHub about that they were going to try to get me my money back. And I was like, you know what, let's go try to talk to that security. Maybe something happened because again, someone did say that this lady did talk to security and that they were able to get inside the venue and everything like that. So I just thought maybe I should try it out, just worth a shot. We get in there, we get to the security and I explained to one of the security ladies about it. And she was like, yeah, like you can go and talk to the people up front by the doors. I'm inside the venue, I'm inside. And as I'm explaining to the ticket people about my situation, I hear Ariana Grande performing Positions and she was singing Dandelion. Which, by the way, I've always wanted to see that in concert, but I just only heard like bits of it. I mean to the people, I'm like, listen, this is what's happening. I got it from StubHub. This is my ticket number. I don't know if you can check it or whatever, just, you know, anything. Unfortunately, they even told me the same thing. We can't do anything. We can't go through that. We only go through Ticketmaster. And I just told myself, okay, you know what? I tried. I did everything I could. So at that point, I went home, but I did not go home empty-handed. I was able to grab some merch before I went, and as you can see, I am wearing one of her shirts. And on top of that, while I was dealing with that whole situation, there was this girl that went up to us and gave us some free bracelets and a free Ariana Grande. Basically, all I'm gonna do is try to wait for StubHub to give me my money back, and if not, then I have to go to the bank. So just long story short, not only was I the only one, there was also other people that weren't able to get into the concert as well. And I just don't think that's fair and that's right. And lesson learned on my part, never trust StubHub ever again. And hopefully if I do get my money back, I'll just go to a Young Miko concert. I also ended up contacting Ariana Grande's team just to see if they can get me tickets for the next day, but I literally doubt that was going to happen for me. But either way, that ended up happening. Not only was I scammed, there was multiple people there that got scammed from StubHub. But yeah, moral of the lesson, never trust StubHub and just get your tickets from Ticketmaster. That's just the only way how it's going to get through from every
story time about my trauma and how it changed me into the person I am today. And hopefully I can help somebody else who's going through the same thing or has went through similar things, because I can promise you a lot of the things that I've went through at such a young age, other people have too. So the first story that I want to tell y'all is how I was 15 and pregnant. Yeah, so for y'all to understand my whole entire story, I have to tell you who I was 15 and pregnant by, and that would be my now husband. I'm very grateful for him. He is amazing, and we now have 5 children together. And I know not everybody gets that lucky to be able to be with the same person, but I was thankfully lucky enough to have a good enough man that I was able to do that. So my story starts in 2018. I was 15 years old, about to turn 16, and I grew up kind of rough, and my husband did also, so our moms did drugs together. And he came into my home, and him and his mom were staying with me and my mom at our house, and we just kind of got to know each other, and we haven't left each other since that day. But we met each other before then, and I can tell y'all a little more about that if y'all like the video and y'all would like to know our whole entire story. But today I'm here to tell you about how I was 15 and pregnant. So when I was 15 years old, I met my husband, and we were together for 2 months, y'all. 2 months. So we got together in August, and I found out I was pregnant October 31st on Halloween. Trick or treat. I'm pregnant. Like, what the heck? That's so crazy to me. Well, I found out I was pregnant, and I thought, like, that was the craziest thing ever. I thought I could never have a baby. Like, that was not physically possible. Well, I told my husband, my now husband, he was my boyfriend at the time, I was like, we cannot tell nobody until I turned 16. So I turned 16 in November, and it was October 31st. So we kept a secret for 22 days, and it was the hardest secret of our whole entire life. So the whole entire reason that I didn't want anybody to know is because I knew that my parents wouldn't let me get my driver's license if they found out I was pregnant, because I knew it was going to be a complete shit show. Like, they were going to be so mad at me. So I thought, which one of them were, but we'll get into that. So we kept the secret, and when I got my driver's license, y'all, my driver's license was hot off the printer, and my dad turned and looked at me, and he was like, "Are you pregnant?" And I was like, "Yeah, I'm pregnant." Yeah, because at that point, I was young. I had my driver's license in my hand. I was like, "You can't take nothing from me, nothing at all. Like, I got my driver's license now. What are y'all gonna do about it?" Yeah, I was young and dumb. Well, my dad was really mad at me, but he wasn't as mad as I thought he was going to be. Well, I get home. I lived with my mom. My mom and dad were divorced. I get to my mom's house where me and Jesse were staying and his mom was staying. And all of my stuff is in the yard, y'all. She kicked me out. She said, "Bye. Gotta go. You gonna be pregnant, not in my house." I was freaking out. I was crying my eyes out. I was terrified. So from that point forward, me and Jesse moved in with my dad, and my dad completely supported me, and I'm forever grateful for that man, and he was there for me. Well, I was young and dumb, and I decided, well, I don't want to be here anymore, because my dad was strict and I couldn't run around and go do what I wanted. Like, I needed to be doing anything else. I was 15 and pregnant. But anyways, so we moved back in with my mom, and little did I know that was going to be one of the biggest mistakes of my whole entire life. So we move in with my mom, and everything's fine for a little bit, and my mom was a drug addict. Well, one night she started drinking and doing drugs, obviously, and we were there, and she started acting crazy, and she pulled a gun on us, y'all, and started what I thought she was pew-pewing at us, if you know what I mean. So me and my boyfriend, which is now my husband, we run out of the house. We're scared to death, and she's acting like she's pew-pewing at our car. And my back door was open because I jumped in the car because I thought she was, you know, pew-pewing at us. And my car door, my now husband literally pulled us backwards out of my mom's driveway, and my car door fell off. It hit the mailbox, y'all, and fell off in the road. So we were then homeless. We had nowhere to go because my dad didn't have a home at the time, and he had moved into a camper because he thought that I wasn't going to be living with him. And that's when we moved in to a little crappy apartment, and things literally just got worse from there. Okay, so here's part 2 of my trauma series of trying to help people who also have trauma at a young age or have just had trauma. That way y'all can feel less alone. So let's get right back into it. So where I left off is we were moving into a really crappy apartment. And when I say crappy, y'all, like, this apartment was falling apart. But at our age, it was better than being homeless. And my now husband was working full-time. I was now 16 years old. I've never worked a day in my life. I really didn't know what to do. And anybody that knows me, I am 4'9". So I was 4'9", huge and pregnant, and could barely walk around. And we got in this apartment like a month before our son was born. So we move into this apartment, and now it's time to have a baby shower. Y'all, and I kid you not, I cannot even make this up, okay? My mother, my mom, my own mother, who's done all this crazy stuff to me, on the day of my baby shower, she did her own baby shower at the same time of my baby shower and said it was for me. I don't know how it was for me because I wasn't even there. So my family's called me on the phone, and they're like, "Savannah, where are you?" And I'm like, "What do you mean, where are y'all?" We're down here at the church, which is like probably like 2 miles from my mom's house because like we live in a small town. And they're like, "Why are you at the church?" I'm like, "Because that's where my baby shower is." And my mom was having a legit baby shower at her house. And like we went and spent the little money that we had at the time, you know, because we're young and we're having a baby, on this baby shower for my mom to throw a baby shower at her house. So we have a baby shower, and my family actually came to my baby shower, so nobody ended up really going to her baby shower. But the people that did, she did end up like bringing me my gifts. I think it was like a little bit after. Okay,
Well, now it's time to have Stetson, which is my oldest. I'm 16 years old. I'm scared to death. Like, I don't know what I'm doing. They put me in hard labor for 27 and a half hours on Pitocin, and I don't dilate at all. I dilate to a 3 in 27 hours. Well, when they finally notice I'm not going to dilate, my body becomes septic. My fever goes up to 105, and I go into an emergency C-section. And I'm like, where's my husband? Which he was my boyfriend at the time, but now he's my husband, so we're just going to call him my husband. I was like, where is he? They would let nobody in the room with me, and they actually had to end up putting me asleep a little bit, like not completely asleep, but put me out of it because I was freaking out, because I was 16 years old having emergency surgery without anybody. And there was so many people at the hospital, y'all. Like, it was so overwhelming for me. My mom and Jesse's mom had random men coming in and out of my hospital room. Like, it was literally the craziest thing ever. Like, I'm, have a hospital gown on, barely any clothes on, and they just have like random people coming in and out of my hospital room. It was a terrible experience. I was terrified. Well, little did I know, they came out into the waiting room and told my family that I might not make it. Thank goodness, the Lord above, I did make it. And Stetson was born into the world at 5:45 at a whopping 6 pounds. And no, that's wrong. I'm sorry. He was 7 pounds and 5 ounces, and he was completely healthy. But I did have to stay in the hospital for a week and have antibiotics because my body did become septic. Well, now we're going into the journey of me and Jesse becoming young parents, and that was also crazy. So if y'all want to hear more of my story and more about my trauma, I ended up having another baby, shortly after, and figuring out that I had serious medical issues right at the beginning of COVID. So if y'all would like to hear more about that, I can do a part 3. I want to get more into my trauma about my life, and I've been through a lot, and my husband's been through a lot, and we would both like to share our stories. So if y'all would like to hear more, like and comment, and I can definitely do a part 3 about having my next baby and about some of the other trauma that we've been through. So just let me know.
So my boyfriend is coming on family vacation for the first time ever this week, and all my friends are like, oh my god, are you nervous that he's gonna like perform well, like that your parents like him? I'm like, bro, no, I'm nervous that he's gonna meet my family and be like, y'all are batshit, I'm leaving you. Because the apple doesn't fall from the tree.
Story time on how I just got fired at 37 weeks pregnant. So, it all started last Thursday, which was what, like the 18th? So, we had this long extraction appointment. I work at a dental office. We had this long extraction appointment with some fillings booked like towards the last 30 minutes of it. The doctor whose this treatment was scheduled in sees that and sends one of his assistants to the front. And he's like, hey, can you go let them know that, like, unfortunately, I'm not going to do the fillings. They need to reschedule. Like, I'm going to be caught up with the extractions. So we kind of figured out the schedule. We made it work. Mind you, this doctor is always, like, either shortening his lunch or going over his lunch on treatment. So we were like, cool, it shouldn't matter this time, His lunch got shortened to 30 minutes. Maybe, like, 15, 20 minutes later, he sends the same assistant to the front. And she's like, hey, doctor said he's not going to do that. You guys need to figure it out, reschedule. Like, he's going to take his full hour lunch. So we're like, okay, this filling appointment is a 21-year-old college student who has been scheduled since April. The extractions got booked at the beginning of June. So we were like, mom wanted all of the treatment for the college student to be done before she went back to school. So we're like, damn, mom's going to be pissed, right? The second time she came back up, we were like, dude, this is why we need all of the doctors at Huddle. Huddle is a 15-minute appointment, or like a 15-minute meeting that we all have before the first patient arrives, where everyone gets the chance to ask questions about their schedule, go over anything that they have, any concerns, or we can make any changes we need to before patients start coming in. This doctor wasn't at Huddle, so we were like, hey, this is why it's important for him to be there, because now we're about to call the patient a few minutes before their appointment, and it's not going to end well. Mom's going to be pissed.
And the extractions is like an older guy. It's really hard for him to get to the office. So we're like, we're not going to call him to reschedule, you know? So jokingly, I'm the jokester of the office. I'm always making people laugh. I'm the goofball. I'm always joking, right? I do my job, but I'm always joking. So jokingly, I tell this assistant, tell him he's worse than Patel. Context, we have a lot of complicated patients with the last name Patel, but we also have a doctor named Dr. Patel. This comment wasn't directed towards anybody. I didn't say a first name. I didn't say Dr. Patel. I just said, tell him he's worse than Patel. That's it. Meaning the comment was thrown up in the air. This assistant goes to the back doctor's office and tells the doctor in front of Dr. Patel, hey, Odali said, you're worse than Patel. Dr. Patel hears that, catches the comment, and takes it upon herself to think it's about her. She comes to the front, pulls my manager aside. My manager's name is, we'll call her Betty, right? She pulls Betty to the side, and we have these 2 consult rooms where we go over treatment. So with the door closed, obviously you can't hear anything, but if you scream in there, you can hear clearly. You start hearing, fuck you, Betty, fuck you and your front staff. Do you think you guys are even qualified to do my job? Not even a fucking little bit. You and your front staff are so unapproachable. The doctors fucking hate coming to you. Can hear all of this. So in my head, I'm like, holy shit, like, is this about what I just said? Like, damn, let me, you know, whatever. So I let it go on. I got distracted checking patients in and out. After I see my manager come out of the consult room, she's bloodshot red, steps out. So I'm like, okay, now that they're out of there, let me go back there and like apologize and let me tell her like, hey, the comment wasn't even about you. I go to the back doctor's office, it's locked. So I'm like, okay, weird. I knock and she's back there on the phone, opens the door, sees it's me, slams it shut. So I'm like, okay, I'll wait till she's off the phone, whatever. After that, I see the assistant kept getting pulled aside. My manager kept getting pulled aside. HR kept calling on the phone. Like, it was just this big thing. And I'm like, nobody has pulled me aside. And I'm the one that said the comment. I'm usually scheduled 9 to 5. By 5 o'clock, that's when my manager's like, hey, HR wants to talk to you. I'm like, dude, I gotta go. It's 5 o'clock. Like, you guys had all day. This happened at like 10:30 in the morning. I'm like, you guys had all day to pull me aside and nobody did. So it's 5 o'clock. I go in there. Hey, can you tell me in your words what transpired? I'm like, yeah, blah, 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 this and that. Okay, we're going to have to give you a write-up that was very unprofessional. Like, you shouldn't be talking about any patient or anybody like that. And I'm like, no, I get it. Cool. I'll sign the write-up. It was wrong of me to say that. But I wanted to reiterate the comment was never made towards this doctor. I never said a first name. I never said Dr. Patel. I never said anything. I just said Patel. She's like, cool. We'll add that to the write-up. So they add that. And then Friday, which is the next day, I asked my manager, I'm like, hey, what ended up happening? What's the update? What's going on? Like, nobody told me anything. Friday, that assistant called off because of everything that happened. Friday, also, the manager of the assistant pulls me aside and says, what happened? I give him the rundown. My manager then pulls me aside and says, hey, Dr. Patel wants you fired. She wants you and this other girl that had nothing to do fired. And I'm like, what the heck? Like, the comment was thrown up in the air. The fact that she chose to catch it is on her. That's not my problem. You know what I mean? Like, I was like, yeah, maybe the comment shouldn't have been said, but it was never about her. So I was like, all right, whatever. I go this whole week, Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday. Monday was my baby shower at work. This doctor works on Mondays. She went to go hide in her car and wasn't part of the celebration, which is cool. I get it. Like, you don't want to get along with us right now. That's fine. She usually comes to the front to say bye. We haven't seen her since Thursday. So today she comes in and she's like, hi, good morning. How is everyone? And finally says something to me after like a week. And she's like, hey, can you guys move this patient? Like, her lab's not going to be here. And I'm like, sure, like, I'll call her. Thank you so much. You're the best. And walks away. I look at my manager and I'm like, that was weird. She hasn't talked to me since last Thursday. My manager was on edge all day. So I kind of put 2 and 2 together and I was like, they're going to fire me today. Mind you, my last day before maternity leave was Tuesday the 30th. So I was like, they're going to fire me, right? 4:30 comes around because we close earlier on Fridays. 4:30 rolls around. I'm supposed to walk out. And my manager's like, hey, can we talk to you? Serious as fuck. And I'm like, I look at her and I'm like, girl, they about to fire me, aren't they? Like, just let me know. You know what I'm saying? Like, joking with her. She doesn't say a single word. So I go in there. HR's in there and she's like, go ahead, Betty. Right? Betty is like, hey, so we wanted to talk to you about your employment. You know, we wanted to thank you for everything you've done for blank blank dentistry. But unfortunately, we decided to term you. I'm like, okay, that's fine. Like, that's perfectly cool. My manager walks out alone with HR on a Zoom call. And she's like, do you have any questions for me? I'm like, no. Like, no questions at all. And in my mind, I'm like, that's just so messed up that you guys are letting a doctor speak to your staff this way and taking her side when this comment wasn't even about her. You know what I mean? Like, it was just whatever. So they fired me. I'm 37 weeks pregnant. So I'm about to end this video, go file for unemployment, and spend some time with my kids. You know what I'm saying? It's great.
That's so funny. No, my cat is such a weirdo too. Oh. The other day he like at like my jugular. Oh I lost like 16 pints of blood. I had to do like 150 stitches.
So I think my husband's trying to leave with all our money and trying to get me out of the house. The reason I think this, and I'll say this, it's just so embarrassing to even say, but I caught my husband 2 years ago having an affair. He fell asleep with his phone in his hand. He got a notification from a girl, and they were sexting each other back and forth. And when I woke him up and he realized that I found out that he was having an affair, he tried to unalive himself. So I did stay with him, which was my first mistake. But he doesn't know that the second time, probably the third or fourth time, honestly, around, that the girl's been spreading rumors about them too. And I think he's trying to get me out of the house, even though I've been agoraphobic for a few years. And the reason why I've been agoraphobic is because he tried to unalive himself in front of me. Also, he's been avoiding getting me to the doctor, and I have my finger snapped in half. The bone has popped out, not through the skin, but have a whole nother story time for that. I really need to go to the dentist. He's been telling me that he can't afford any of these things, and that's completely whole nother story, because literally every other day, every other single day, he's been getting packages from Amazon. But yesterday he told me something absolutely batshit crazy, and I don't believe him. He took me outside and onto our porch because he told me no phones at all. And when he said that, he looked at me and he was all like, we need to go to the trailer in the back to talk about this. And I was like, I'm not walking in the rain. And he told me that he has a new government job, and his new government job doesn't want him talking to me at all. He was like, my new government job knows you have a TikTok, and for context, nothing's on my TikTok. I've never posted any information like I'm doing right now. The only reason why I'm doing this is because I feel it in my intuition he's up to no good. I also have 14 years of receipts, absolutely crazy stories that now I'm seeing. I just let go, I let go. Now here I am. I've been agoraphobic for I don't know how long because I let this man control my life. I let his very, very abusive, manipulative tactics, just go every single year because I truly thought that I loved this man. So if you take anything away from this, please, 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 if you have continuously, change your route, change your routine, change your life around for somebody, just leave them. Leave them, because now here I am 14 years later, my finger snapped in half, making a TikTok about my husband's crazy antics. But I need to finish telling this story. He told me that his government job said that he has to completely stop talking to me. He's no longer allowed to talk to me anymore, that he has to
go and just not speak to me anymore. And then I start to realize, since he is having an affair and this girl's been spreading rumors, I think he's trying to get me out of the house. I think that he's going to get one of his friends that works, you know, either from the military or from, it could be anybody, to come over to the house and say, hey, you can't live with Jake anymore. He has a new government job, so you're going to have to get out of here. The only reason why I believe that is because this man has made up stories and told me things for years that were not true at all. Like, literally, he convinced me for our whole relationship that I was the reason that he was always drinking, because if I did something, he would tell me I was the problem, and that's the reason why he was drinking. His mom, dad, and brother are all dead from drinking. And he convinced me for 14 years that I was the reason he was drinking. And now we have no food in our refrigerator at all. I have enough food for tomorrow. And luckily, I literally just ground up a bunch of change in the house to do this, but to get more groceries. It's embarrassing to admit that, but that's how desperate I am, because he's cut me off. And also, I haven't gone to the dentist in God knows how long. And now he's telling me this crazy story that the government doesn't want him talking to me because I downloaded TikTok, and that's going to affect his new job, even though, again, he's making up excuses why he hasn't taken me to the doctor. He's making up excuses why he hasn't spoken to me, and honestly, I don't care about that. I care about him doing the ethical thing and making sure I get fed, but I am scared shitless he's going to try to do something and kick me out of my own house. I'm scared he's going to stop trying to make sure I have the resources I need for this other girl. So I'm making this video mostly to, if anything happens to me, I will keep y'all guys posted. I really don't have anybody else to talk to about these things. Our family members, so this is literally was an act of kind of like desperation. But I'll keep y'all guys posted.